When I was reborn to the moment Zhou Ian proposed divorce for the second time, I signed the papers without the slightest hesitation. Little did Zhou Ian know that a year later, the Zhou Group would suffer massive financial losses due to executive betrayals at headquarters, eventually collapsing under coordinated attacks from business rivals. The once glorious Zhou Empire crumbled overnight, reducing its heir to a penniless man who could only afford to live in a basement eating instant noodles. Back then I truly loved him, willing to endure hardship by his side, finding sweetness in mere companionship even when he had nothing, yet I never imagined that even at this point, Zhou Ian still only had eyes for his cherished white Moonlight. When I was in labor as a high-risk pregnancy, he abandoned me to care for her child, my baby, and I died on the operating table waiting for his signature. While her son merely had a mild cold. Gucci, stop making a scene, just sign the papers. What's the point of dragging on this loveless marriage? I know you've wasted your youth staying with me all these years, so I'll make sure you're financially set for life, more than most people could ever dream of achieving. Zhou Ian initially showed some remorse, but his tone soon turned condescending, laced with patronizing generosity. Coming from an ordinary family, I knew I wasn't Zhou Ian's social equal, blinded by devotion. I never asked for anything, not even touching the allowance he provided after marriage, supporting myself to preserve what I foolishly believed was our pure, untainted love. I never bothered to understand Zhou Ian's true thoughts. Looking back now, his sense of superiority made perfect sense. He never truly respected me. I was just a temporary comfort during his lonely moments. Thanks to President Zhou for catapulting an ordinary person like me to success overnight, I said with a smile. In this second life, my words held no sarcasm, only genuine gratitude. The bankruptcy of Zhou Corp and those hard times with Ian taught me the true value of money. Only when love-struck fools gain clarity do they truly awaken to reality. The past has faded like mist. Nothing compares to cold, hard cash in hand. Men may betray you, but money never will. Zhou Ian was the first man I ever loved, back in high school, when he rescued me from those senior bullies. He seemed like a god descended from heaven. I fell for him hopelessly, irrevocably, even though his heart belonged to another girl, even though he had his own white Moonlight. I kept loving him in silence. When his white Moonlight abandoned him to go abroad, he married me in what seemed like bitter retaliation. I didn't mind. I happily signed the marriage certificate with him. I thought, even if Zhou Ian didn't love me, my genuine care and devotion would eventually move his heart. For over 8 years, 3,000 days and nights, I cared for him, stood by him, even gave him one of my kidneys after his drinking ruined his during his post-bankruptcy despair. At that point, you'd think even a stone would have warmed to my touch, but the moment his white Moonlight returned divorced, weeping pitifully before him, he forgave her instantly. Then he placed divorce papers in front of me, insisting with finality that our marriage was over. In my past life, when Zhou Ian presented the divorce papers, I was in utter disbelief and refused to sign no matter what. Zhou Ian probably understood I needed time to process this, so he waited a month before bringing up divorce again. Seeing how heartbroken I was, Zhou Ian seemed to have a pang of conscience. This time, the divorce settlement was far more generous, an extra 20 million. Plus that hillside villa and 2 300-square-meter retail spaces in the city's premier mall. Back then, my world revolved entirely around this man who didn't love me. Material possessions meant nothing. I stubbornly refused to divorce. Zhou Ian kept bringing it up time and again, his attitude growing increasingly hostile. After the Zhou family's bankruptcy stripped him of the means to care for his beloved, he stopped mentioning divorce. He couldn't bear to see his white Moonlight Shenli suffer. Yet when I stood by him through his darkest days and things began looking up, the moment he regained his footing, he went back to being Shenli's devoted servant. Even when I was in labor, I wonder if he'll feel even a flicker of remorse when he learns both our child and I died on the operating table. Qingyu, don't say things in anger. I genuinely want you to have a good life. Review the divorce terms. If any clause dissatisfies you, name it and I'll accommodate. Zhou Ian spoke with uncharacteristic gentleness. In all our years together, this was the first time he'd shown such patience, only to coax me into signing the divorce papers. What a piece of work. I must have been blind to ever fall for someone like this, given a second chance at life without past glories. Zhou Ian's still handsome face now strikes me as utterly repulsive and hypocritical. Hearing Zhou Ian's offer, I picked up the divorce agreement. My mood lifted considerably upon seeing the property division plus an annual alimony payment of 1 million. But with Zhou Enterprises going bankrupt next year, Installment payments are worthless IOUs. I'd gladly take a discount for immediate cash. Qingyu, do you have something on your mind? Seeing me scrutinize the divorce papers intently, Zhou Ian didn't believe I genuinely wanted a divorce. He assumed I was stalling with another tactic. Noticing my unusual expression, he asked, ignoring Zhou Ian's thoughts. I pointed at the agreement's clauses. If we're divorcing, let's make it clean, no lingering ties, skip the annual alimony installments, just give me the full amount up front. Watching him freeze, I added, I'm 29, even if I only live to 80, that's 51 years, rounding down, you owe me 50 million flat. Qingyu, what's 5 million to a Zhou family heir like you? If you're unwilling to pay, then this divorce is off. I said this deliberately, knowing Zhou Ian would assume I was just stalling for time. Fine. We'll settle it in one payment. Qingyu, state any other demands you have now. Zhou Ian's words filled me with secret delight. I could hardly wait to sign those property transfer papers, but outwardly I protested. After all these years loving you, wasting my youth on you, being willing to do anything for you, you'd really divorce me for Shenli without a second thought. Once you sign this, don't come crying with regrets. Shenli had been pulling out all the stops lately. Freshly dumped and left penniless by her overseas husband, she'd set her sights on Zhou Ian like a vulture circling fresh meat, sweet-talking him until he was utterly smitten, determined to play white knight to his pitiful white moonlight. At my words, that fake look of guilt resurfaced on Zhou Ian's face, but he remained firm. Qingyu, I'm sorry, I don't love you, and right now Shenli is at her most vulnerable. She needs me. You'll regret this. Zhou Ian, with a heartbroken expression, I swiftly signed the divorce papers through tears after Zhou Ian had his secretary revise the agreement. Seeing me sign so decisively, that damn masochistic bastard Zhou Ian actually gave me a suspicious glance and started hesitating, panicking at the thought of losing the fortune and bright future within reach. I cried even harder, slamming the pen down before him like a petulant child. I demanded, sign it now. We'll go straight to the civil affairs office. There are plenty of good men out there. You think Qingyu can't survive without you? Zhou Ian truly believed I couldn't live without him, though I'd been campus queen material, which ironically made me a bullying target. I'd never given other decent suitors a second glance all these years, devoted solely to Zhou Ian. All these years of my blind love and rose-colored glasses gave him absolute confidence. Zhou Ian, who had been hesitant, now signed the divorce papers without a second thought, convinced I was just acting out of spite. He probably figured if he hesitated, I might change my mind once my anger cooled. Watching this unfold, I was thrilled. A fortune was about to land in my lap, luxury apartments, villas, storefronts, all mine in an instant. To hide my excitement, I rubbed my eyes harder until they turned red and teary, terrified Zhou Ian might notice my joy and back out. Zhou Ian, you heartless bastard, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. Whoever hesitates isn't human. Dragging Zhou Ian toward the bureau with tragic determination, I felt like an Oscar-winning actress reborn in that moment. I've always been patient with Zhou Ian. Outbursts like this were rare for me. Qingyu, I'm sorry. Zhou Ian gave a nod to his secretary, who immediately understood. After making a quick call, the secretary approached with a slight bow. The car is ready, President Zhou. I waited with visible despair as Zhou Ian prepared to leave. The ringtone sounded. It was Zhou Ian's phone. Ian, come quick. Xiaoxiao fainted from a food allergy. I'm alone with her at the hospital. A woman's trembling voice came through the phone, thick with fear and panic, yet laced with growing dependence. Qingyu immediately recognized Shenli's voice, a sound she could never forget even if she lived 100 lives, one that had been her deepest wound and darkest nightmare. Don't panic, Ollie, I'm coming right now. Zhou Ian blurted into the phone without hesitation, his face openly contorted with urgency and tenderness, not even bothering to hide it from me. His still legally wedded wife, Qingyu, Xiaoxiao's had an accident. You know Ollie's health has always been fragile. She can't handle this alone. I need to go immediately. Zhou Ian looked at me with apologetic yet resolute determination. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. I'd always been heartbroken before, but this time I was absolutely furious. We were literally at the final step, like having a perfectly roasted duck served right before you, only for someone to snatch it away at the last second. The sheer audacity made my blood boil. Zhou Ian, do you even realize what we're doing today? This isn't some shopping trip or amusement park visit. We're going to finalize our divorce, and you're still running back to your precious Ollie at a time like this. Qingyu, stop being unreasonable. Xiaoxiao is just a child who lost her father. have some compassion. I was so furious I nearly had a heart attack, that bastard. If we weren't still legally married and I didn't need to visit the Civil Affairs Bureau, I'd have slapped him twice across the face right then. Without waiting for my response, Joe Ian immediately left with his secretary. I grabbed the divorce papers from the table, stuffed them into my bag, and hurried after him. Drive, Joe Ian immediately ordered as he got in the car, and I barely squeezed in just as the door was closing. Gooching you, why are you following us? Joe Ian instinctively furrowed his brows, his face still wearing that same aloof, disdainful expression. Let me see just how sick Shinli's child really is that requires your personal attention. Are they on death's door or something? In my past life, when I was in labor, Shinli used this exact excuse to summon Joe Ian away. The situation sounded so dire over the phone that he abandoned me without a second thought, remembering the child who shared my blood but never got the chance to be born. That familiar grief and hatred welled up inside me again. Gooching you, I know you hate Shinli. But she and her child are innocent, they've done nothing wrong. I told you from the beginning I didn't like you. Targeting a child like this shows appalling upbringing. Either shut your mouth right now or get out of this car immediately. Joe Ian had never been the accommodating type with me. His demeanor was always ice cold. The slight softening earlier had only been because of his guilt over the divorce. Now that he was worried about that wretched Shinli's child, all patience vanished. His face darkened like a thundercloud. The deeper my hatred grew, the harder I suppressed it. If Joe Ian sensed anything, he'd truly make me get out of the car. At this critical juncture of our divorce, I couldn't let him slip away. That scumbag Joe Ian and that bitch Shinli would get what they deserved eventually, but that didn't mean I couldn't collect some interest in advance. We arrived at the hospital in complete silence. The moment Joe Ian got out of the car, he rushed to the nurse's station to locate Shinli and her daughter, then jogged anxiously toward them as if every second counted. Following behind, I saw Shinli and her daughter sitting there perfectly fine. Jiang Xiaoxiao, who was supposedly unconscious according to the phone call, was now sitting there with teary eyes. Both mother and daughter wore identical pitiful expressions, though the girl only had a few red rashes on her face. When Shinli spotted Joe Ian's arrival, she ran over and sobbed into his arms. Oh Ian, I was so terrified. Xiaoxiao means everything to me now. I was petrified something might happen to her. Thank goodness the doctors managed to revive her. I stood there listening with cold amusement, while anaphylactic shock does happen. Those measly little rashes weren't even mild symptoms. Fainting was absolutely impossible, but that blind fool Joe Ian, his brain must be clogged with shit to believe every word Shinli said. Remembering my innocent child from my past life who could have been saved if not for this bitch, my eyes burned red with rage as I lunged forward and slapped Shinli across the face repeatedly. Shinli took the slaps before she even processed what was happening. Completely stunned, still seething, I grabbed her hair and rained down more blows, the classic scene of a wronged wife beating the mistress. Joe Ian never expected me to make such a move, so he didn't even try to stop me. When he finally snapped out of it, pure fury took over. Gooching you, what the hell are you doing? How dare you lay hands on Ollie? Have you lost your damn mind? Joe Ian looked absolutely livid, as if he was about to tear me apart any second. Not only did he yank me away from Shinli, he was ready to hit me too. Come see this shameless pair of scumbags, Joe Ian. Are you really going to treat your wife like this for some two-timing woman who dumped you years ago? As the crowd gathered around us, I shouted at Joe Ian defiantly, staring him down while bracing for his slap. This scandal was about to get even juicier. Though I stayed silent the entire car ride to avoid being kicked out, I wasn't idle. I'd tipped off several top tabloids, with Joe Ian being the Joe heir. How could they resist such juicy gossip? They were probably already staking out the hospital room before we arrived, cameras ready to capture any scandalous moment. The relentless camera flashes left no doubt they'd captured every second of that scene. Gooching you could already envision tomorrow's headlines. Joe Sion caught cheating, mistress showdown at hospital. The tabloids would have a field day with this love triangle drama. Despite Shinli's influence clouding his judgment, Joe Ian wasn't completely foolish. As the Zhou family's carefully groomed successor, he instantly grasped the situation. His raised hand froze midair as reality hit him. Qingyu, this is all a misunderstanding. Stop making a scene, let's talk inside. Zhou Ian's secretary immediately stepped forward to defuse the situation. Since I orchestrated this deliberately, why would I let this farce end so easily? I'm not going in there. Why should I share a room with that shameless whore? The very air is tainted. And that little bastard she spawned, already putting on airs at such a young age. Clearly inherited her homewrecker mother's genes. Who knows whose husband she'll ruin next. Qingyu, Xiaoxiao is just a child. How could you say such things to her? I know you've misunderstood my past relationship with Ian, but we're completely innocent. He only helps us because he pities Xiaoxiao for growing up without a father's care. Shenli maintained her usual victim act, glaring accusingly at Gu Qingyu while defending herself. Her words actually elicited sympathy from some bystanders. Cut the act, Shenli, if you're so innocent, why were you sobbing in my husband's arms? Where are your boundaries? Stop playing the delicate white lotus. Your daughter's fatherlessness isn't my fault, it's because her shameless mother slept around. Your ex-husband got a paternity test proving she's a bastard before divorcing you and kicking you both out. If I were you, I'd hide in shame, but no, penniless and desperate, you set your sights on someone else's husband, with such audacity and no morals. Don't expect me to be polite. I didn't even give Shenli the dignity of a private confrontation. I exposed her home-wrecking schemes publicly, dragging this shameless mistress into the spotlight. How convenient, coveting another woman's husband while still trying to maintain her pristine image. Well, I'm going to rip off Shenli's mask and expose her for what she really is. Let her live in the disgust and scorn of the world, forced to hide in the shadows like a common rat. A flicker of panic crossed Shenli's face. She clearly hadn't expected me to know her dirty little secrets. Oh my god, this is absolutely scandalous. The entertainment reporters scrambled to jot down every word, and I couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. Zhou Ian's face darkened to the extreme. He didn't believe a word Gu Qingyu said. In his heart, his white Moonlight was a pure and flawless woman who deserved the best in the world. Even when she abandoned him years ago, it must have been out of desperation. Now that she's suffering so pitifully and being slandered by me, he must be utterly heartbroken. Gu Qingyu, shut your mouth. If you dare slander Ollie again, don't blame me for what comes next. Zhou Ian snarled at me with unmistakable warning in his eyes. Just when everyone expected me to keep fighting, I chose silence. I knew Zhou Ian's limits all too well. Pushing further would make things messy. After all, the divorce papers weren't finalized yet, and the Zhou Empire still stood. Annoying him right up to the line was fine, but crossing it and getting myself in trouble, absolutely not. The Zhou family's security team arrived shortly after, clearing the scene and restoring quiet to the hospital room, where Shenli whimpered softly in wounded distress. Qingyu, you've misunderstood me completely. With an innocent look toward Zhou Ian, Shenli continued pleading. Ian, you have to believe me. That's not how it happened. I'd never do such a thing. Ollie, don't bother explaining to her. She's just blinded by jealousy. I stood aside silently cursing in my heart. You're the real blind fool here. Totally deserving to be played like a puppet by a woman like Shenli. Zhou Ian held Shenli protectively while shooting me a venomous glare. Gu Qingyu, did you really think such cheap tricks would stop me from divorcing you? It only makes me despise you more. Time for my performance again. Honey, I don't know what came over me. Everything I said was just anger talking. The moment I imagined us leaving this hospital for the divorce registry office, I deliberately brought up the word divorce. Delaying such matters invites complications. Shenli would surely be eager to facilitate this and lend me a helping hand. Shenli didn't disappoint me. Her continued persuasion only made Zhou Ian more resolute in his stance. Ailey, don't worry. I'll make things right for you. Since Xiaoxiao is fine, I'll handle the urgent matter first before coming back to you. Shenli nodded affectionately. Ian, Xiaoxiao and I will be waiting for you. Zhou Ian stood up. Gu Qingyu, let's go. Nothing can change the fact that we're getting divorced. If you know what's good for you, don't try anything funny, or all the terms I promised you before will be off the table. Though the threat genuinely frightened me, I feigned indifference. Ian, you know I've never wanted anything from you. Money means nothing. I just want to be with you. Zhou Ian dragged me into the car. Zhou Ian even posted bodyguards around, afraid I'd bolt to avoid the divorce. I sneered inwardly at his paranoia. 30 minutes later, at the Civil Affairs Bureau, the clerk asked, are you absolutely certain about this divorce? Have you agreed on asset division? We've reached full agreement and signed the paperwork. As Zhou Ian spoke, he suddenly remembered he'd rushed to the hospital without bringing the divorce papers and instructed his secretary to fetch them. Hearing this, I pulled the divorce agreement from my bag and said, no need, I happened to bring it with me. Zhou Ian shot me a surprised look, suspicion creeping back onto his face. After all, when Shenli wasn't involved, the man still had some wits about him. Why did Zhou Ian feel Gu Qingyu was even more eager for divorce than him? Impossible. This woman must be playing some reverse psychology game. He wouldn't let her have her way. watching Zhou Ian hesitate to sign. I scoffed, "What's the matter? Changed your mind about divorcing me? Do I suddenly seem preferable to your precious Shinli?" Nothing infuriated Zhou Ian more than such remarks, as if a man like him would ever care for a woman like me. Despite his suspicions, he signed without hesitation. When the clerk stamped the documents and I finally held the divorce certificate, an immense weight lifted from my shoulders, my entire body relaxed, but I wasn't reckless enough to celebrate yet. The assets stipulated in the agreement still needed transferring to my name. If Zhou decided to make trouble, I'd be powerless. Until then, I'd been terrified he'd renege on our terms. That hospital gambit had been risky. "Gu Qingyu, we're divorced now. I want you to stop harassing me. Take the assets I gave you and live your life quietly." I didn't argue, just obediently left as Zhou Ian demanded. Before going, I overheard him instructing his staff to suppress the news. Today's hospital incident must never make headlines. Heh. A smirk curled on my lips as I sat in the taxi, making no move to interfere. The evidence was already planted anyway, ready to surface whenever needed. Exposing Shinli's true colors too soon would ruin the fun. Let Zhou Ian marry her first, let them tie the knot irrevocably, then I'll gift them an unforgettable wedding present. The scandal I'll unleash will hit so hard, Zhou won't even realize his head's been crowned green. Right now, Priority 1 is handling the urgent matter. The asset transfers need immediate attention. Early next morning, I called Zhou Ian's secretary. Zhou Ian's secretary still held sympathy for me as the ex-wife. Having witnessed all the pressure I endured over the years, he didn't give me any trouble when I called. With remarkable efficiency, he handled the property and shop transfers for me, along with the 40 million compensation Zhou promised, combined with the 50 million installment payment. All 90 million was deposited into my account. With the properties and windfall secured, I timed my move perfectly and bought a particular stock 3 days later. In my past life, I'd stumbled upon an investing legend online. Some trader multiplied their money 20-fold within 2 months. Back then, I'd made a mental note of which stock it was, never imagining I'd get this second chance at life. This must be heaven-sent fortune smiling upon me. Nobody ever complains about having too much money. With Zhou's compensation as my seed capital, I'm ready to play the market. I dumped 50 million into the stock market and spent the next 2 months obsessively monitoring the tickers, counting down the days to cash out. When the time came, my bank balance swelled by 1 billion. Finally, I could truly retire in luxury. Those 2 months of stock market frenzy left me visibly gaunt. Zhou Ian and Shinli made headlines again, splashed across the front page of the entertainment section. With me out of the picture, Shinli successfully bagged her meal ticket Zhou Ian, transforming into a trophy wife of the elite class. Meanwhile, my ex-mother-in-law also called me, asking to meet up. There's no affection between us whatsoever. Zhou Ian's condescending attitude was inherited from this very woman. During my years in the Zhou family, aside from Ian's emotional neglect, his mother never missed an opportunity to belittle and harass me, but after some consideration, I decided to meet with her anyway. We arranged to meet at an upscale coffee house. My ex-mother-in-law remained as poised and elegant as ever, her face involuntarily twisting with disdain when she saw me in my sportswear. "No wonder Ian found you unworthy and divorced you. Just look at how utterly common you become." Her contempt used to shatter me, but now hearing these words, knowing the humiliating future awaiting her, I felt nothing but sweet vindication. The wheel of fortune turns indeed. "You summoned me just to say this." Remembering her purpose for coming today, Zhao Jinping suppressed her disdain. "You're utterly useless. After all these years by Ian's side, you still couldn't keep his heart from being stolen by that shameless tramp Shinli." Though she never liked her daughter-in-law Gu Qingyu, that scheming divorcee Shinli, a gold digger with a daughter from a previous marriage, was clearly after her son's money, making her even more detestable. Worse still, Shinli had the audacity to drive a wedge between her and her son. That was absolutely unforgivable. She came today to pit Gu Qingyu against Shinli. She could tell her son still harbored some feelings for Gu. Why else would he have left her such a substantial share of his assets? By the time she found out, it was too late to intervene. "Qingyu, I still prefer you as my daughter-in-law. Go back to Ian's side, with me backing you up. You two are clearly the better match." So this was why she summoned me today. Listening to my ex-mother-in-law's condescending attempt to pit me against Shinli, I could only laugh bitterly. "Mrs. Zhao, you're mistaken. I was blind to ever want such a man. Trash belongs with trash. Since you always found me dull-witted, Shinli's the perfect daughter-in-law for you. A viper like her will keep a tyrant like you in check. You're truly meant to be family." I used to obey her every whim, swallowing my pride without complaint. So accustomed to flaunting superiority, she never expected such defiance. Her face flushed crimson as she clutched her chest in outrage. Mrs. Zhao, after all we've been through as mother and daughter-in-law, I'm leaving you a little parting gift. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. Gooching you. Don't think you can walk away smugly after swindling my son out of his fortune. A twice-divorced woman like you will never find anyone better than Qingyu. Mark my words, you'll regret throwing away this opportunity. Watching Zhao Jinping's furious tantrum, I didn't bother arguing. Time would tell the truth. I simply placed the USB drive on the table and walked away with my head held high, indifferent to the storm it would unleash on their family. I mailed an identical copy to the tabloids. Even if the Zhou family's bankruptcy would eventually ruin Xinli, I wasn't about to let her enjoy even a few more months of comfort. This USB drive contains all the dirt on Xinli. After last night's events, I immediately booked a flight out of S-City. With enough money to last me a lifetime, I can now travel the world freely and avoid the Zhou family's retaliation. While abroad, I kept tabs on domestic news. The tabloids reported Zhou Ian and Xinli's public brawl at a social event, followed by rumors of reconciliation after marital troubles. Madame Zhao Jinping was also quoted criticizing her daughter-in-law. Seems Xinli's really having a rough time. I returned just before the Zhou family's bankruptcy, strutting in my sky-high heels. I had a whole squad of 6-foot-tall hunks carrying my bags and suitcases behind me, constantly offering me water and feeding me fruits. They pampered me like royalty. Money really is magical. With enough cash, you can have any type of gorgeous man, each one attentive, sweet, and catering to your every need. Gooching you. I never thought you'd sink this low. Can't you survive without me? Is this how you degrade yourself? A voice full of anguish suddenly exploded in my ear, startling me. I just came back to enjoy the drama. Never expected to run into Zhou Ian at the airport. Zhou Ian looked utterly exhausted, as if he'd aged years overnight. The handsome guy beside me immediately patted my back soothingly. Darling, you must be terrified. Who's this rude, uncultured person shouting like that? Did they scare you? Zhou Ian's face darkened further at the sight. He strode over and punched the handsome guy who was comforting me. The gorgeous guy treats me with tenderness, but shows no such patience with Zhou Ian. When punched, he instantly retaliates. Zhou Ian's lip splits from the blow, glaring at me with pure venom. I meet Zhou Ian's gaze with deliberate calm. What's with that look? Zhou Ian, do I seem like I'm barely surviving? Dumping a scumbag like you opened my eyes. Life's become deliciously vibrant. With your breakup money, I've traveled across stunning landscapes and charmed countless handsome men. Now that's living. Fine, just fine. Zhou Ian's voice drips ice. Gooching you. Remember, the luxury I gave you, I can take away. You'll regret this. His frigid glare lingers before he turns, his demeanor now laced with a brutality absent in the past. I scoff, entirely unfazed. Zhou Ian is nothing but a paper tiger now, toothless and soon to come crashing down from his high horse into the mud. Besides, compared to a certain someone, Zhou Ian's presence barely registers. The mere thought of that person sends shivers down my spine. He once swore he'd break my legs and chain me to his side if I ever tried to escape. Thankfully, that monster doesn't know who I really am. In this vast world, he'll never find me. Emerging from the airport with a squad of handsome men, I found luxury cars already waiting. The moment I slid into the seat, powerful arms pulled me into an embrace. Had enough fun, ching ching. No takebacks on that marriage promise, the man murmured, his voice dripping with dangerous tenderness. That voice sent chills down my spine. Escape was no longer an option. This toxic entanglement began in America when I drunkenly brought home Qinshua, a male model I'd spotted at a bar. What began as a casual night took an unexpected turn. The male model wasn't who he seemed. When I tried dismissing him with a check the next morning, Qinshua's face darkened. He shoved a check 10 times the amount back at me, then pinned me down, teaching me a lesson I'd never forget. I later discovered Qinshua was no ordinary man. Even in the States, he commanded considerable influence. A man this dangerous was beyond my league. Escaping proved difficult, but I finally slipped away from his domain. Freedom meant flirting with handsome men again, no longer under that tyrant's thumb. Yet the very day I returned home, Qinshua caught me. Qinshua, you know I was drunk that night. It didn't count. Besides, I'm just a divorced woman with passable looks but no substance, really quite ordinary. Please be magnanimous and let this go. Ridiculous. Putting aside how dangerously unpredictable Qinshua is, I still can't figure him out. I barely crawled out of the marriage pit. There's no way I'm jumping into another one. Does Qingqing intend to break our agreement? His smile grew gentler, yet every instinct screamed danger, memories of his ruthless methods in America flashing through my mind. That's not it at all. I'd never renege, I just need more time. A wise man submits to circumstances. I've reached my limit in despair. What a curse. How did I ever cross paths with this demon? How can I possibly break free? Qin Shua gazed at this naive woman. Once he'd set his sights on her, she could never escape him in this lifetime. On a certain year, month, and day, a wedding of the century took place in the capital city. By then, the Zhou family had gone bankrupt. Shenli immediately divorced Zhou Ian afterward, attempting to abscond with the last remnants of their wealth. But Zhou saw through her scheme and orchestrated her sale to a repulsive old man in some backwater village. Zhou Ian passed out from hunger once again, drifting into a hazy dream of an entirely different life. Waking up, he saw the woman's radiant smile on the giant screen above and wept bitter tears of regret. Several police officers approached from nearby. Mr. Zhou, you're suspected of human trafficking. Please come with us for questioning. Story 2. Qin Yanyan lost the radioactive materials but deliberately kept it under wraps. Soon after, 3 senior researchers in the same lab were diagnosed with leukemia. Sensing something amiss, I requested an inspection of all radioactive materials, but my childhood friend and younger brother intercepted the application. There are barely any researchers left in the lab. If you kick up a fuss now, aren't you basically pointing fingers at Yanyan? Later, I started getting nosebleeds. News of the lab's missing materials spread across campus, and I became the scapegoat. My advisor faced disciplinary action, and the seniors battling cancer despised me to the core. I tried to prove my innocence, but my childhood friend and younger brother framed me with fabricated evidence, cementing my guilt. Only if you take the blame will Yanyan be spared suspicion. In the end, they pushed me off the lab rooftop, and I was reduced to a bloody pulp. Meanwhile, Qin Yanyan graduated with a spotless record, joined the research institute, and became an inspirational role model. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the day Qin Yanyan was searching for materials in the lab. 1. Choo-choo, what's this suit for? It looks so unusual. Can I try it on? Maybe you could give it to me. It's my first time in the lab, and I'd love to keep something as a memento. Even a pig knows you can't just walk out with lab equipment, as if Qin Yanyan didn't know that. As she asked, she'd already slipped into the radiation suit, grinning playfully. Seeing her innocent expression, her childhood friend Gung Yen gave a magnanimous smile. Sure, it's just a piece of clothing. The school has already granted Xingqiu the rights to this lab. If there's anything else you like, feel free to take it. Her brother Xingjian shamelessly chimed in. Exactly. My sister wouldn't be so selfish as to refuse such a small favor. Hearing this, I nearly let out a cold laugh. So refusing to help her steal makes me selfish, is that it? These two really know how to use my flowers to charm Qin Yanyan old hands at this game. No, all lab equipment must remain in the laboratory. My refusal was absolute, and Gung Yan shot me an impatient look. You're utterly heartless and ridiculously rigid. I let out a cold laugh, raising my voice, calling me heartless for stopping her from stealing. Let me make this clear, under my watch, nobody takes anything out of this lab. All eyes turned to Qin Yanyan as scattered murmurs arose, condemning her attempt to smuggle items out. Qin Yanyan bit her lip, looking as if she'd suffered an unbearable humiliation. Senpai, I'm no match for Choo-choo in any way. It's only natural she looks down on me. I shouldn't have come with you all, just making myself unwelcome and getting insulted for no reason. She hung her head and sobbed quietly. The two comforted her while still shooting accusatory glances my way. How could you bully someone as gentle as Yanyan? Are you jealous of her? Stop slandering her and apologize now. In my past life, I wasn't this blunt. I rejected them but still saved face for both sides. But the thought of her being the reason I died with unfinished business makes my blood boil. Looking back, I should have called her out in my past life. Wouldn't have taken my dying breath to realize those two had deep feelings for Qin Yanyan. I envied her, envied how she could laze around illiterate. Someone like her never belonged here. You brought her in, any consequences are on your heads. Lab cameras are glitching. No worries, I'll record everything. As I pulled out my phone, Qin Yanyan quickly lowered her head to hide the panic in her eyes, then burst into tears and ran off. Xingjianan and Gung Yan shot me a glare before chasing after her. I told the others to focus on the experiment while I thoroughly inventoried the radioactive materials. My heart sank when I saw only a tiny fraction of the uranium that should have been there remained. Seems I've reincarnated at a point that's already too late. Chen Yanyan has already lost the item. 2. In my past life, Chen Yanyan deliberately swapped uranium samples in the lab, causing 3 senior researchers to develop leukemia while slowly poisoning my own health. When I later realized something was wrong and tried to request a radioactive materials audit from the university, including lab inspections and personnel screenings, those bastards Gun Yan and Xing Jianan stopped me and locked me in my apartment. The scandal broke when the school launched its own investigation, discovering someone had deliberately placed uranium in a sealed document folder. As investigators were about to trace it back to Chen Yanyan, Gun Yan and Xing Jianan panicked. The 2 conspired to pin the whole thing on me. Yanyan just wanted to satisfy her curiosity by looking around. We never expected Xing Chu would actually agree. If she could agree to Yanyan's request, she could have agreed to anyone else's too. How can you pin this on Yanyan? At the very least, as the person in charge, Xing Chu should bear primary responsibility no matter what happens. Shouldn't they? Just like that, I became the scapegoat for everyone's deaths. I endured relentless bullying day and night, while my family life turned into complete chaos because of me. This time, I won't let history repeat itself. There are just too many files. It's impossible to locate where Chen Yanyan put them right away, but we still need to make necessary preparations before finding it. I clapped my hands to get everyone's attention. Perfect timing. Since everyone's here today, I've got an announcement to make. Even though our regular lab materials and radioactive substances are stored separately, for everyone's safety, let's make it a rule to wear protective gear during all experiments from now on. Also, given the varying skill levels and different experiment scales in our team, I'll split us into 2 groups. Xing Jianan and Gun Yan will lead Lin Xian, while the rest will join me in the main group. The moment the words left his mouth, everyone except Lin Xian visibly relaxed, murmuring among themselves as they dispersed. I've long wanted out of Gun Yan's group. Sure, he's book-smart, but utterly useless in the lab, yet acts like he's God's gift to science. That Xing Jianan, zero work ethic compared to his sister, just scrolls through his phone in the lab, freeloading off everyone's effort. Now they dragged Chen Yanyan in. That two-faced gold digger makes my skin crawl. Piggybacking on our research for papers was bad enough, now they bring a parasite. That evening, I messaged the group telling everyone to stay out of the lab for now. Graduation is just around the corner, and while everyone's buried in their theses, I've been swamped with work too. Recently published several papers, one even won an award, which secured sponsorship for the university. I turned down the prize money and negotiated for a new lab instead. The old one will finally get maintenance too. Director, could we schedule the lab repairs after hours? Our experiments run all day. Also, please keep quiet about me being the reason for the new lab. With just a year left before graduation, I'd rather avoid unnecessary attention. The boss gave the green light. Before the next day's experiment, I had everyone gather at the entrance of the new lab. Gun Yan and Xing Jianan stormed over to confront me. Xing Chu, why did you split us into 2 groups? And what's your justification for keeping Yan Yan out of the lab this time? I gave them a cold glance. Since you 2 operate on a completely different level from the rest, and Lin Xian's still a rookie, you'll be grouped together. As for Chen Yanyan, do we really need another parasite in the lab besides you 2? They glared at me. What's gotten into you? You've been so snappy lately. What exactly did Yanyan do to offend you? Is there any need to single her out like this? I said coldly. This isn't about singling anyone out. She shouldn't have been allowed in there to begin with. Starting today, the 2 groups will conduct experiments separately to prevent any intellectual property theft. With that, I prepared to lead the remaining team members into the lab. The 2 exchanged glances, while Chen Yanyan, who had been wearing a pout, suddenly looked up and shot them a meaningful look. Gun Yan caught up and grabbed my arm forcefully. You think we actually want to work with you, flaunting that new lab like it's some achievement. Newsflash, you didn't earn it. Xing Jianan was growing visibly anxious. The professor put you in charge, but wasn't Gun Yan also assigned by him? Are you deliberately excluding us with the others? Watch out, I'll report this to the professor and get you disqualified. I gave them both a long, hard look. If you don't appreciate the new lab, stay in the old one. Let's see if you 2 can avoid becoming laughingstocks at the pre-final symposium. The 2 men gritted their teeth. Stop looking down on people, you arrogant prick. With that, they led Chen Yanyan into the old lab, swiftly drawing the curtains while declaring, don't even think about spying on our research. 3. After the experiment concluded, Gun Yan was waiting for me at the door. Since you've left the lab, Shouldn't you take this junk of yours with you? What a disgusting eyesore. He pointed at several documents on the table by the old lab entrance. Chen Yanyan smoothed her slightly disheveled hair. Senior Gung Yan, even though we're in separate labs now, Xingqiu definitely didn't mean to target us. Don't be so harsh on her. These documents seem important to you. You'd better take them quickly. Documents. My heart skipped a beat when I heard that. Could the uranium files be hidden in here? After scrutinizing for a while, I finally noticed one file folder sealed completely differently from the others. In that split second, it hit me. The missing radioactive material was inside this. I shouted at the remaining team members outside to come help move the documents and equipment. I can handle the documents alone. The new lab still needs several instruments. Let's move these over there. As a few team members moved to take the equipment, Gung Yan and Xing Jianan immediately noticed and rushed to stop them. Seizing the moment when Chen Yanyan was distracted by the commotion, I pretended to fumble, letting the file folder slip to the ground. I swiftly kicked the folder into the shadow of the table, then walked off casually with the remaining files. In our past life, she successfully used these tricks to harm us. This time around, let her reap what she sows. After delivering the documents, I stormed over and gave Gung Yan an earful, then had the team confiscate their equipment. The two looked defiant. But we had strength in numbers. Didn't they do the exact same thing in my past life? The two of them teamed up to knock me out and tied me up in that hotel room to keep me from leaving. Besides, these three in the lab don't even need this equipment in the first place. In the end, Xing Jianan cursed at me through gritted teeth. Just you wait. When we get back tomorrow, I'll make sure Mom and Dad know exactly how vicious you are. They'll beat you to death. The next day was the weekend. When I got home, instead of being furious, my parents were actually heartbroken and kept urging me to eat more. To everyone's surprise, Xing Jianan, who'd been avoiding home for half a month, showed up too. Without greeting anyone, he stormed straight into his room with a dark expression. Xing Jianan had been nothing but trouble since childhood. Even in his first year of high school, his grades still ranked dead last. If I hadn't forced him to study with me throughout junior and senior year, he'd probably only qualify for vocational college now. He became even more unruly in college. Had it not been for his outstanding Gaokao scores, the professor would never have granted him special lab access privileges. His parents had already accumulated enough disappointment in him to simply pretend he wasn't there. As usual, I chatted with my parents after dinner before retreating to my room for an afternoon nap. After about half an hour, when the noise outside subsided, someone pushed open my bedroom door. Someone tiptoed into my room and started rummaging through my things. After they left, I opened my eyes and checked my computer. Sure enough, there was the record of the email I'd just sent. I don't get it. After all the times I've taught Xing Jianan since childhood, how can he still be such a blockhead? About 2 weeks later, the academic society began collecting research papers. A research paper authored by Chen Yanyan was featured on the university website's homepage. Numerous professors and students have given it exceptionally high praise. Who is this Chen Cici? She's been flying under the radar. But this paper could rival Xingqiu's work. This actually surpasses Xingqiu's papers. Some of their work clearly lacks this level of refinement. Normally I'd revise a paper 3 times at most, but this one went through over a dozen drafts, just as I suspected. Xing Jianan handed my paper to Chen Yanyan. That single paper turned Chen Yanyan into the campus celebrity overnight. The paper even got published on the National Chemistry Portal. Hailed as a rising star in the field, Chen Yanyan has been riding high these days, with Gung Yan and Xing Jianan wagging their tails like eager little lapdogs. Running into you this early in the morning, what rotten luck. Gung Yan's beaming face twisted into disgust the moment he spotted me approaching. A flicker of panic flashed through Xing Jianan's eyes before his expression settled into smug satisfaction. Chen Yanyan maintained her gentle tone, but the smile at her lips carried a hint of smug triumph. Xingqiu, why haven't I seen you around these days? Gung Yan snorted coldly. Seen her? She's been completely overshadowed by you. Yan, too ashamed to show her face now. Never thought you'd see this day, did you? Xingqiu, how does it feel to have someone stepping on your head? I sneered. You all know exactly how this paper came to be, don't you? Stealing my work and flaunting it like this. Chen Yanyan put on an innocent face. What do you mean by that? I know I'm not as talented as you, but you can't just dismiss other people's hard work. She suddenly burst into tears, completely out of the blue and utterly baffling. The commotion drew the attention of passers-by. For a brief moment, she became the center of attention, and people stopped to watch. As if overcome by dramatic impulse, she raised her voice with a sob. Is it a crime not to be a genius? Don't we ordinary people have the right to fight for our dreams? You've targeted and isolated me before, but how could you accuse me of stealing your thesis? 5. Perhaps these words struck a chord with many, as passers-by glared at me with undisguised hostility. Xingqiu may be brilliant, but that doesn't give her the right to treat others like this, just because she's a genius. Does that mean the rest of us don't deserve to learn? She just can't stand seeing others succeed, terrified they'll outwork her and threaten her precious status. Oh, she's a genius all right, but geniuses are always lonely. Let her rot in solitude. No matter how talented she is, she'll never have real friends. Gunyan smirked, looking smugly at me. You probably don't know this yet, but she's no genius. All her past papers were ghostwritten. Her personal life is a complete mess. She only got all those resources by seducing professors. Everyone was shocked by the revelation. Oh my god, is this actually true? If even Gunyan, who's so close to her, says this, and her own brother didn't deny it, how could it be fake? This is absolutely disgusting. People like this should be locked up and executed. Chen Yanyan sighed and ran over to grab my hand. Xingqiu, if you'd just stop bullying me, I'd still really like to be good friends with you, and you shouldn't look down on others either. You call them idiots, but you're not exactly a genius yourself. The crowd erupted in fury, hurling curses at me, with some nearly lunging forward to throw punches. 3 figures stood before me, looking down their noses with smug superiority. A tidal wave of unprecedented slander and defamation crashed over me as I stood trapped in the jostling crowd, struggling to breathe. Gunyan strode toward me with a victor's swagger, tilting his chin up before leaning in to whisper in my ear, if you apologize to Yan today, we'll help clear your name. Deal. Xingjianan finally spoke up. Damn right, you should kowtow to her, you're the one who wronged her. Xingjianan's voice rose sharply as he continued. How can you be so vicious to a girl? Aren't you afraid karma will give you cancer? The next instant, both Gunyan's eyes rolled back as 4 streaks of nose blood came gushing down. I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, seems like I'm not the one who got cancer. 6. Seizing the moment while they were still dazed, I took out my phone, logged into my email, and pulled up the records of Xingjianan previously sending the paper. The records date back 16 days. While Chen Yanyan's paper was published just 3 days ago, this paper was originally written by me. My computer still has all the research materials and revision history. I'll release everything for verification once I get back. Chen Yanyan barely scraped by to get into this university. In 2 years, she failed 3 courses and scored a pitiful 12 on her last exam. Yet suddenly she produces a thesis that earns widespread praise. If anyone's the genius here, it's her. I dug up all the evidence, yet these people still shamelessly refuse to admit it. Xingqiu, I know you dislike me, but fabricating evidence, that doesn't seem like something you'd stoop to. This is clearly what happened when we shared Yanyan's paper for your reference. You went overboard adding your own unnecessary comments and sent it back. How can you be so shameless? All you do is smear others' reputations. Having a sister like you is downright humiliating. The 3 of them didn't even bat an eye, while passers-by crowded around to read the thesis on my phone. Admittedly, they didn't plagiarize everything, they did omit some parts. If you insist on putting it that way, I suppose it makes some sense. Suspicion flickered in everyone's eyes as they glanced between me and them, utterly baffled by the situation. Thinking they'd regained the upper hand, the trio began smirking with renewed smugness. With a cold snort, Gunyan finally sneered. Why bring up the thesis? Trying to cover up your shameless behavior, too spineless to own up to what you've done. I slapped him across the face. You two are shameless, twisting facts and treating everyone like fools. You slander women's reputations at the drop of a hat. I've never met anyone more despicable. Have you forgotten how in middle school, when you were forced to kowtow and lick shoes, it was me who carried your pathetic ass to the hospital? Xingjianan turned pale with rage at these words, raising his hand in fury, only for me to kick him flat on his back. And you, with your mind full of filthy thoughts, probably don't even remember when you almost died from high fever at age 10. I took care of you for 3 straight days without sleep. Malicious slander carries a 15-day jail sentence. Just wait, the police will uncover the truth when they arrive. They enjoy spreading rumors, but I certainly don't. Everything I've said actually happened. These are wounds that will never heal in their hearts. They hate me so much. Why would they ever admit I helped them, especially in front of Chen Yanyan, who'd want their goddess to see how pathetic they used to be? Sure enough, those 2 lunged at me like rabid animals. You fucking bitch, I'll kill you. The moment I pulled out my phone, they suddenly calmed down. By the way, Yan Yan needs to prepare her acceptance speech. I won't keep you any longer. Yan Yan, let's get you home. I can't stand the sight of this bitch. As they turned, both stumbled and swayed, clearly on the verge of passing out. I smirked at them, throwing their own words back in their faces. What's wrong with you guys? Maybe you should get checked at the hospital. If it's cancer, catching it early might still be treatable. All three whirled around, Gung Yan clenching his jaw with veins bulging at his temples. Quit your damn jinxing. You're downright vicious. I swear I won't die that easily. Even if I do, I'll haunt you from the grave. Watching their retreating figures, I still can't comprehend why they despise me so much. The trio hurried away as bystanders gradually dispersed, obviously spreading lies. Didn't you see how terrified they were? Scampered off like frightened rabbits. I'm not so sure about that. You know what they say, the more innocent a woman appears, the wilder she is in private. She definitely gives off that secretly provocative vibe. Xingqiu isn't like that at all. We're in the same group. Last time Chen Yanyan tried to take lab equipment, and Xingqiu refused. They're just holding a grudge and framing her. Those three, Chen Yanyan and the others, are downright despicable. 7. After getting back, I realized these three had sunk to depths that completely shattered my moral compass. I don't understand why Xingqiu is targeting me like this. I burned the midnight oil writing that thesis, nearly ruined my eyesight running experiments. She can insult me all she wants, but she can't deny my hard work. Those two simps wouldn't miss a chance to fawn over their goddess. They each posted lengthy declarations of support for Chen Yanyan. One accused me of having loose morals and 5 abortions. One even used my younger brother's name to spread rumors that I beat my parents at home and bullied classmates outside. The whole thing blew up. Lies became accepted as truth. I was originally one of the award recipients at this ceremony. We'll still give you the prize money, Xingqiu, but perhaps you shouldn't attend the award ceremony. The school is concerned about reputation too, but the teacher truly believes in your character. I sighed helplessly. At least let me do something to feel involved. How about having me run the PowerPoint, teacher? The teacher wouldn't possibly refuse such a trivial request. At the awards ceremony, after everyone else received their prizes, Chen Yanyan took the stage as the grand finale. With an affected smile and what she imagined to be a dignified demeanor, she took nearly 5 minutes to strut down the 20-meter red carpet, each step oozing artificiality. After the leader commended her, she was presented with a trophy and awards. Standing there, she blinked and, as if by magic, 2 tears rolled down her cheeks. Today, I stand here grateful to our school administrators and teachers. Your patient guidance has shaped who I am today, but the person I'm most grateful to is Senior Xingqiu. Without her constant criticism, her indifference and disdain, I'd never have found this determination and drive. I'm at a loss for words right now, so I'll just wish everyone the best. Let your actions prove that the gap between ordinary people and geniuses can absolutely be bridged through sheer hard work. As her words landed, thunderous applause erupted. Admittedly, her speech was truly inspiring, uplifting, persevering, perfectly embodying that model student image from her past life. It would be better if I weren't the victim. Xingqiu is truly despicable and hypocritical. Turns out all those online rumors were true. How could she possibly bully such a kind and hardworking girl? I hope she gets hit by a car tomorrow. And that's not all. They say she's promiscuous and even had a child out of wedlock. The classmates were freely discussing the matter when one particularly loud voice cut through. Someone like Xingqiu deserves to be expelled. It was Gung Yan's voice, soon joined by Xingjianan, then 3, 4. Countless voices rose in unison demanding my expulsion. The executives looked grim. Seeing the perfect moment, I hit the keyboard. 3 crystal clear faces appeared on the awards ceremony's backdrop projection, going at it like sandwich cookies in the middle of the lab. Chen Yanyan's voice was laced with breathless, blush-inducing gasps. Brother Gung Yan, isn't this inappropriate? We're in a laboratory. After deep, pleasure-laden breaths from the man, Gung Yan wore an expression of utter satisfaction. Only in the lab can we experience this incomparable ecstasy. Xingjianan gasped, Yan, don't you think this experience is way better than before? Chen Yanyan playfully swatted at their chests with a coquettish pout. You promised, remember, after this, you'll help me steal Xingqiu's thesis. Both of them kept their eyes closed. Don't worry, I know her computer password. I'll definitely get it for you. I'm gonna savor this moment. That bitch acts all high and mighty just because her grades are slightly better. Can't wait to see her humiliated. I despise Xingqiu the most. Who does she think she is? Just 1 year older and she believes she can boss me around. I wish she were dead. The room fell dead silent. Then came the piercing, ear-splitting shriek. Ag, this video is disgusting. Oh God, my eyes. Qin Yanyan is truly something else, orchestrating academic theft and still having the audacity to accept awards. No wonder she's into orgies. That woman's got no shame. And she's the one spreading lewd rumors. The real slut here is herself. God knows how many men she's slept with. Just looking at her makes me feel contaminated. Do these three even have a shred of humanity left? They deserve to be shot for 5 minutes straight. Get these animals out of our school. Expel them now. 8. Qin Yanyan stared in stunned silence, her face flushed crimson with utter bewilderment, beaten black and blue by the crowd. Deng and Yan somehow dragged themselves onto the stage. No. None of this is true. The video was doctored. This never happened. Qin Yanyan snapped back to reality, sobbing uncontrollably. Who on earth wants to frame me? Just because I won an award? Is this really necessary? I'm innocent. By this point, I had already stepped onto the podium. These videos are all surveillance footage from the old lab. That place is remote and rarely visited, plus the cameras were newly installed. They had no idea. I honestly didn't know either. I only discovered these files while searching for my own documents. To clear my name, I resorted to this extreme measure, and I'm prepared to face any consequences. I never imagined such despicable people and incidents could exist on our campus. The video is completely authentic with no signs of tampering. I posted it on the school forum for everyone to verify. As the words hung in the air, the crowd's emotions reached a fever pitch. The school immediately stated they would conduct a thorough investigation, vowing never to tolerate such immoral behavior on campus, yet the curses kept coming. After all, they'd fooled many people with their earlier rumors. A crowd rushed the stage, hurling insults and punches. The few security guards couldn't break it up, leaving it to the arriving police. 9. The school's investigation results came out quickly. The video was authentic, and the school expelled all 3 individuals involved. I was also summoned to the teacher's office for a talk. You went too far. And you shouldn't have played those videos in front of the entire school. Having taught you for 3 years, I know exactly who you are. You're no so-called genius. Everything you've achieved comes solely from your own hard work and dedication. But considering you're the victim in this incident and didn't spread false rumors, we'll let you off with a warning this time. Don't let it happen again. I nodded earnestly and thanked the teachers and administrators. That day, Geng Yan and Qin Yanyan happened to run into me when they came through the school gates to collect their belongings. After just a few days apart, they looked like they'd lost 20 pounds, their 4 dark-circled eyes glaring at me with icy hostility. Xingqiu, don't get cocky, your high and mighty days are numbered. Even if we get expelled, we'll be waiting at the school gates the moment you step outside. We'll make you wish you were never born. Tough talk came quick, but their feeble delivery made it impossible to take seriously. I can't die even if I wanted to, but you'll get to experience death soon enough. The 2 men froze for half a second. What do you mean by that? I leaned closer with a sinister grin. Haven't you noticed lately that you're constantly having nosebleeds, feeling completely drained, and coughing non-stop? These are classic symptoms of radiation-induced cancer. I did the math. You've already passed the critical treatment window since yesterday. Geng Yan looked utterly bewildered. You actually think your curses can kill me? Qin Yanyan's eyes widened in shock, her face a mask of disbelief. Before anyone could react, she bolted from the school gates like a madwoman. Geng Yan was utterly baffled. I explained helpfully, don't you know, your beloved goddess stole uranium from the lab. Just that tiny amount left in the lab is enough to give you radiation sickness. His face showed disbelief, but a flicker of terror flashed through his eyes. Soon after, he stormed off cursing under his breath. 10. Xing Jianan, coughing up blood for the 10th time, was rushed to the hospital by his parents. When they learned radiation had given him cancer, my parents reacted with far more composure than I'd expected. Son, had we known about your condition earlier, we wouldn't have laid a hand on you these past days. The doctors may say it's hopeless, but we'll never abandon you. We'll spend every penny to get you treated. Xing Jianan lay cursing on the hospital bed, too weak to even pound the sheets. Why does Xingqiu get all your attention? Why, am I not your child too? This favoritism is unbearable. Mom and Dad sighed. When have we ever favored your sister over you? It's because you've been disobedient since childhood, stealing money for internet cafes, skipping classes, picking fights. We just want to set you on the right path and secure your future. Is that really favoritism? They'd said this countless times before, but it never got through to him. He clenched his teeth and shut his eyes tight. He refused to eat or drink, and eventually passed away in his hospital bed. That day, my parents wept bitterly in their grief. I held them close and comforted them, saying, "Mom, Dad, you still have me." 11. Gung Yen went to the hospital for tests too. Overwhelmed by despair, he lashed out at Qin Yanyan with punches and kicks. Qin Yanyan lost 2 front teeth and suffered multiple fractures, further deteriorating her already fragile health. That day, Gung Yen showed up at the school gate and knelt at my feet just like years ago. He sobbed uncontrollably as the crowd gathered around him. "Choo-choo, my parents abandoned me, please save me. That bitch Qin Yanyan would rather get us all killed than stop trying to destroy you. I don't want to die, I really don't. Just treat me like a stray dog, show some mercy and let me go to the hospital." I let out a scornful laugh. "Save you? Then who's going to save me? You think I'd fall for the farmer and viper trick twice? This is the ending you deserve, killed by your precious goddess." Fitting finale for a professional simp. He clung to my leg in desperation, only for me to kick him away. Just days later, I heard Gung Yen had died on the streets. His family refused to claim the body for ages. In the end, the police had to collect it. 12. Qin Yanyan's condition was less severe since she'd worn protective gear longer than the others. Even in her dying moments, she reached out to help me one last time. She reported to the school, accusing me of secretly taking uranium and storing it in the lab to harm them. After thorough inspections, the staff eventually found the uranium hidden under the table leg. If it wasn't hers, how did it end up in her file folder? I'm sorry, but I'd already saved all the surveillance footage from the lab beforehand. The footage clearly shows her placing the uranium into my bag with her own hands. I also presented previously recorded video where she was seen fleeing the lab entrance in a hazmat suit. If she wasn't planning to steal the uranium, why would she be wearing protective gear for no reason? This whole incident was orchestrated by her. She's simply reaping what she sowed. The school administrators berated her and kicked her out. She stood at the school gate, screaming at me hysterically, "Xingqiu, there's no way I'm inferior to you. We're both women. How can you be so much better than me? It's just because you were born with a good brain." I refuse to accept this. I'll never accept it. I'll haunt you as a vengeful spirit if I must, but I swear I'll tear you apart. She lunged forward, restrained by security guards, limbs flailing like a rabid beast. How could Qin Yanyan not know me? Yet now she'd been cast out by her family, left without a penny to her name. She begged at the school gate, not getting a single penny, only to endure endless curses and humiliation from passing students. Late into that night, snow fell thick and fast. Amid the vast white expanse of the street, a dark figure suddenly collapsed. When she died, the students nearly set off firecrackers in celebration. People like this are nothing but a menace to society. Good riddance saves me the disgust. 13. By senior year, everyone had moved on from the incident. I was granted direct admission to work at the National Research Center. These memories often cross my mind, but I've never regretted a thing. I swore I'd make them taste every ounce of this suffering. E&D. Next story. After rebirth, I only have 3 thoughts. First, be kinder to my stepmother and stepbrother. Second, study hard. Third, stay away from Qingzhou. I did the first 2 things very well, but the third one didn't go as I wished, because Qingzhou was also reborn. 1. The moment I saw Qingzhou enter the classroom, I knew I had been reborn. The 18-year-old Qingzhou still carried the naivety of youth, slightly different from the man who would use me and discard me a decade later, leading to my family's ruin. The homeroom teacher smiled as she introduced the new student to the class. "Qingzhou has just transferred to our class. Everyone, please get along well with him." These words were exactly the same as in my previous life. I knew that next, the homeroom teacher would assign Qingzhou to sit beside me, because the student next to me had just transferred out, leaving only the seat next to me vacant in the entire class. Just like in my previous life, after becoming desk mates with Qingzhou, he treated me exceptionally well. We quickly got to know each other well, and after learning about his tragic background, I felt even more sympathy for him, always wanting to help him more. Putting aside the despicable things he did later, Qingzhou was exceptionally handsome and capable, so my initial sympathy gradually turned into affection. After the college entrance exams, I took the initiative to confess my feelings to Qingzhou, and we naturally got together afterward. It wasn't until 10 years later when my family went bankrupt that Qingzhou discarded me like trash and got engaged to someone else. I only found out on his engagement day that he had been using me to gain my father's trust, ultimately causing my family's bankruptcy and seizing our company. all part of his long-planned scheme. He wanted to prove himself to the Qing family patriarch and secure his standing in the Qing household. My 10 years of genuine affection and the accumulated wealth of my Jiang family over generations became nothing but stepping stones for Qingzhou. In the end, my father jumped to his death, and I died in a car accident on my way to the hospital to see him one last time. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the very beginning. Classmate Qingzhou, please take a seat next to Jiang Yan for now. Watching Qingzhou approach me, I abruptly stood up as if startled. Qingzhou, who was just about to sit down, froze in place, frowning as he looked up at me with confusion in his eyes. The homeroom teacher asked me, "What's wrong?" I took a step back, putting some distance between Qingzhou and myself. "I don't want to sit with him, I want to change seats." Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled violently as he looked at me. The homeroom teacher also frowned disapprovingly, while classmates nearby whispered, "What's wrong with Jiang Yan today? She's usually so nice." "Jiang Yan, let Qingzhou sit next to you for now. We'll rearrange seats after the monthly exam." I ignored the homeroom teacher's words, scanning my gaze around the classroom. Everyone was staring at me as if watching a show. Only he, sitting at the back, kept his head down doing his own thing, as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. I didn't want to disturb him either, but it seemed there was no other choice now. "Teacher, I want to sit next to Jiang Yuji." As soon as the words were spoken, Jiang Yuji, who had been indifferent all along, finally looked up, his gaze sweeping past my face. "I want to study hard, so I'd like to be Jiang Yuji's deskmate and have him tutor me." Worried that this reason wasn't enough, I added, "My dad has agreed to this. And Jiang Yuji knows about it too. We just haven't had the chance to tell you yet. My dad donates to the school every year. Even if the teacher doesn't value me, they'd still give my dad some face." She looked questioningly at Jiang Yuji, seeking confirmation from him. I also turned my gaze in that direction. Jiang Yuji initially met my eyes blankly for a few seconds. I just blinked at him weakly, and he nodded with an mm. After changing seats, Jiang Yuji had been acting quite cold toward me, even giving off an air of avoidance. I can actually understand it. After all, ever since his mother became my stepmother, I've always rejected both of them and naturally never gave them a friendly look. But in my previous life, when my family fell into trouble, it was Jiang Yuji and his mother who struggled to hold up our crumbling household. So in this second chance at life, I've decided to treat my stepmother and stepbrother better. "Stop looking," Jiang Yuji whispered, his face turning red. I suddenly realized I'd been staring at him for a long time. He seemed to make a great decision before turning to look at me, asking seriously, "Why do you suddenly want to sit with me? Weren't you?" He didn't say the words, "You hate me the most," but I could guess them. I smiled and casually opened the book in front of me. "Like I said, I want to study hard." "That's true. In my past life, I was like a useless waste. When trouble came, not only did I fail to help my family, but I became their burden instead. So in this second chance at life, I must study hard. When faced with similar situations in the future, I want to be their support." "What about you?" I asked him. "Why did you help me lie to the teacher?" Jiang Yuji buried his head again, pausing for 2 seconds before saying, "My mom asked me to take care of you more at school." I had already guessed this reason. "Aunt Jiang has always been very kind to me." I'll take care of you too from now on, Jiang Yuji." Jiang Yuji glanced at me quickly. This time even the roots of his ears turned red, but a faint smile hovered at the corners of his mouth. "Too, in my past life, I was a slacker who got into the elite class through connections. Even after being reborn, this high school knowledge is still difficult for me." My stepbrother Jiang Yuji had been glancing at me repeatedly. When he looked at me and my workbook again, I suddenly turned to meet his gaze. "Jiang Yuji, I can't do this. Teach me." He didn't hesitate, as if he'd been waiting for me to ask. "Okay." When explaining problems, Jiang Yuji's voice was very soft. Even when I asked him the most basic questions, he would patiently answer, "Take notes on these, and next time you can just apply the formula directly." I worked on the problems very slowly, and only when I looked up did I realize he had been watching me the entire time. You got it right." The corners of Jiang Yuji's lips lifted slightly, forming a faint smile. He really doesn't hold grudges at all, whether in the past life or now. Whether it was because I got a question right or because Jiang Yuji's smile was contagious, I suddenly felt inexplicably happy and even had the urge to tease him. "Jiang Yuji, why aren't you calling me sis anymore?" I remember when his mother first brought him to my house. He was only 12 years old. The first time we met, he timidly called me big sister. For a long time after that, even when I gave him the cold shoulder, He still insisted on calling me sis, but later, I don't know when it started, I never heard him call again. Hearing this, the smile on Jiang Yuji's face suddenly froze, and he gave me a complicated glance. Wasn't it you who told me not to call? I had long forgotten about this matter. I awkwardly rubbed my nose, then softening her voice, she coaxed him like a child. Will you still call me sister from now on? It was my fault before, I was just joking. Jiang Yuji, please keep calling me sister in the future. I love hearing you call me that. Boys his age are incredibly easy to coax. Jiang Yuji turned his head away, and from my angle, I could only see his reddened ear. The next moment, I heard him respond softly, I pushed my luck. Then call me that right now. After staring at him for a long moment, I finally heard him reluctantly utter a single word, sis. That single word alone was enough to please me. As I turned back to continue working on the problems, I sensed a gaze fixed on me from behind. Turning around, I met Qingzhou's gaze directly. Perhaps he didn't expect me to turn suddenly, so the gloom on his face hadn't yet been concealed, but in the blink of an eye, Qingzhou's expression had returned to normal. He gave me a friendly smile, yet I found his grin utterly insincere and repulsive at that moment. I turned my head with an expressionless face. Jiang Yuji glanced at Qingzhou beside me and reminded me, do these problems first, sis. My earlier good mood vanished completely, not even this sis could salvage it. Looking at the exercises he circled in the workbook, I responded softly, okay. After school, I followed my memories from my past life and found the private car that came to pick me up. Miss, please get in the car. Looking at the familiar face of the driver uncle, the joy of rebirth once again filled my heart. I glanced toward the school and said, wait a bit longer. Jiang Yuji was called by the teacher. Let's wait for him. The uncle looked at me with a somewhat surprised expression, but still said nothing. Jiang Yan, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind, and I froze in place. I lost my bus card. Can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare? This scene had also happened in my previous life, in my past life. Qingzhou also said the same words to me, out of consideration for being desk mates. I asked for his home address, and upon learning we lived in the same neighborhood, I proactively invited him to ride home with me. Upon arriving at the neighborhood, we ran into an acquaintance, and he introduced me as his friend, being friends with the young lady of the Jiang family. Just this fact alone meant that from then on, he, this illegitimate child with an awkward status, would receive slightly more regard in the Qing family. In my past life, I thought all of this was coincidence, but now upon closer reflection, it seems deliberately arranged at every turn. Seeing my prolonged silence, Qingzhou called out to me again, Jiang Yan. I ignored him outright and waved to Jiang Yuji who had just exited the school gate. Been waiting for you forever, let's go home together. Jiang Yuji glanced at Qingzhou behind me, then ran toward me with a somewhat flattered expression. You waited for me on purpose, sis. I nodded and got into the car first. Even though my reaction now is completely different from my past life, Qingzhou still refuses to give up. He took a step forward, held the car door, and repeated, Jiang Yan, can you lend me 2 yuan for the bus fare? I frowned coldly at him and said displeased. I don't have the habit of lending money to strangers, sorry. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Qingzhou still standing there, looking puzzled and forlorn. 3. As soon as I got home, I saw my dad standing by the dining table setting out bowls and chopsticks. Memories from my past life came flooding back. My nose stung as I rushed over and hugged him tightly. Dad. Seeing me cry, my dad flusteredly tried to comfort me. Even Aunt Jiang from the kitchen rushed over nervously and gathered around me. Yan, what's wrong? Were you bullied at school? She grabbed Jiang Yuji to ask, but he just looked at me blankly and then shook his head. During the meal, Jiang Yuji handed me a bowl of soup. Sis, I reached out to take it and casually said thanks, though it was just 2 simple words. The 3 people at home made a big fuss about it. Almost all the dishes on the table were my favorites. After tasting them, I said sincerely, the food today is really delicious. Aunt Jiang put down her chopsticks with a smile, glanced at my dad, then looked at me and said, the housekeeper took leave today, so I cooked the meal. I'm glad you like it. In my past life, I always held prejudices against Aunt Jiang and Jiang Yuji, so I never ate the meal she prepared and even threw tantrums, once flipping the table in anger. Yan, if you like it, Aunt Jiang can make it for you tomorrow too, okay? Aunt Jiang cautiously probed. The dinner table suddenly fell silent, and everyone except me seemed to freeze in place. Meeting their hopeful gazes, I nodded with a smile. Sure. All evening, my dad and Aunt Jiang were overjoyed, their smiles never fading. Even Jiang Yuji was hovering around me, pouring me water and bringing me fruit, calling me sister several times. As I was about to leave, I overheard Aunt Jiang chatting with my dad. I heard the Qing family took in an illegitimate child. And the situation is quite difficult. My dad dismissed it casually. Not our business, as long as our family stays harmonious. Dad, Aunt Jiang, I'm taking the dog out for a walk, I said to the two on the sofa. After changing shoes, I realized Jiang Yuji was also changing his shoes behind me. Where are you going? Jiang Yuji grinned at me. Sis, I'm going for a run. After reminding me to be careful, he ran off. I hadn't walked far when I saw someone standing under the trees ahead. I've been staring at that figure for 10 years, of course it's familiar, it's Qing Zhou. I ignored him and kept walking, but Qing Zhou was clearly waiting here on purpose. Jiang Yan, he called me. Seeing that I didn't respond, Qing Zhou reached out to grab me, but was scared off by my golden retriever. Jiang Yan, I have something to ask you. The golden retriever was still snarling and barking at him. As I tightened the leash, I said calmly, classmate, I don't know you. So there's probably nothing for us to talk about, right? Qing Zhou was about to say something more when Jiang Yuji's voice came from not far away. He quickly ran over, giving Qing Zhou an unfriendly glance before turning to me. Sis, what's wrong? I heard Xiao Yuan barking nonstop. It's fine. I pulled the golden retriever to leave when a black car suddenly stopped beside us. The person who got out of the car was Qing Zhou's father, Xiao Zhou. Why are you outside, then? As if just noticing me, he feigned warmth. Isn't this the daughter of Chairman Jiang? I've been meaning to visit your father. Xiao Zhou is my son. You two know each other. We don't, Jiang Yuji and I said in unison. I've already experienced this kind of thing in my past life. Qing Zhou somehow found out that I take my dog for walks in the evening, so he deliberately waited near my house. It was both to get closer to me and to ensure his father would see him associating with me. The sole heir of the Jiang family, when returning home, Uncle Qing, is it? I spoke politely. Please keep your son under control, he's scaring my dog. Without waiting for the father and son to react, Jiang Yuji and I had already left. From behind came the curses of Qing Zhou's father. You little brat, rein in all your crafty schemes. Don't be full of devious ideas like your mother. If it weren't for her threats, you wouldn't even have the right to step through the Qing family's door. And Qing Zhou remained completely silent the entire time. Only after walking far away did the gaze following us from behind finally vanish. Sis, do you know that guy? Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me. I don't know you. 4. Qing Zhou was good-looking and academically excellent. Just a few weeks after transferring, girls flocked like a school of fish to see him after class every day. Half of the chattering girls outside the window came to see Jiang Yuji, the other half came to see Qing Zhou. Because of this, many boys in the class complained, but due to my attitude toward Jiang Yuji, they could only direct their anger at Qing Zhou. During free activity time in PE class, on my way to the convenience store to buy water, I saw Qing Zhou being cornered by several boys behind a secluded teaching building. Noticing me passing by, Qing Zhou looked at me with pleading eyes, yet I still just gave a quick glance and pretended not to see, walking straight past. I've learned enough lessons from my past life. Every time Qing Zhou got into trouble, it was always me who stepped forward for him repeatedly. Didn't my sincere efforts and endless care ultimately fail to bring me a happy ending? So, in this lifetime, I've resolved to be an indifferent villain. By doing nothing at all, I can already make Qing Zhou suffer immensely. I had only finished one page of exercises when Jiang Yuji returned to the classroom. I handed him tissues and water. Why are you back so soon? He twisted open the bottle cap, and when he tilted his head back to drink, the movement of his Adam's apple was clearly visible. I somewhat awkwardly averted my gaze. Can you do all of them? Noticing the workbook in front of me, Jiang Yuji asked. I was about to answer when I saw the boys who had been giving Qing Zhou trouble earlier return to the classroom. Do you think Qing Zhou has a problem? Why did he deliberately provoke us just now? Yeah, clearly he started it with us. But just as we were about to take action, he apologized. Hearing this, I could only let out a cold laugh in my heart. Qing Zhou really went to great lengths to get close to me. Little did he know, the person inhabiting this body was no longer the innocent and kind 17-year-old Jiang Yan from before. 5. Over the weekend, Jiang Yuji accompanied me to study at the library. We arrived quite late, and almost all the seats in the library were already taken. After finally finding an empty seat, I was about to ask if it was taken when I realized the person was Qing Zhou. He saw me too, then moved his things aside, silently inviting us to sit down. Before I could speak, Jiang Yuji had already grabbed my wrist. Sis, let's go to the second floor, there are seats there. As we left, he even shot Qingzhou a warning glance, after finishing 2 test papers. I rotated my stiff neck and suddenly heard Jian Yuji whisper beside me, "Sis, why did you suddenly want to study?" Memories of my past life flashed through my mind. I forced a bitter smile and said, "No reason, I just suddenly didn't want to be a good-for-nothing anymore." Propping my chin with one hand, I looked down at the densely written answers on the test paper. You know what? I had a dream. In it, our family suddenly encountered misfortune, but I couldn't help at all. The person I once liked most said I was just a useless waste. It was just casual venting, but Jian Yuji actually took it seriously. He looked at me seriously, his expression grave as he said, "That was just a dream. No matter what happens, Uncle Jiang would never say such things to you." I shook my head. It wasn't my dad. Hearing my reply, Jian Yuji fell silent for 2 seconds, then blushed and averted his eyes from mine. I wouldn't say such things to you either." The gloom in my heart instantly dissipated. Watching the blushing Jian Yuji, I laughed until I couldn't straighten up. After finishing my homework, I got up and wandered around the library. Suddenly, a shadow rushed from behind and forcefully pulled me into the emergency stairway outside. I was about to cry for help when my mouth was immediately covered by someone. Qingzhou's familiar voice whispered in my ear, "Yen Yen. Long time no see." He pinned me against the wall, his lips near my ear, breathing rapidly as he said excitedly, "You've been reborn too, haven't you?" I realized that the things I had just said to Jian Yuji might have been overheard by Qingzhou, but he said he was also reborn. "Yen Yen, I came back for you." Qingzhou looked at me with deep affection in his eyes, but I knew all too well how skilled he was at deception. My heart raced with fear as I reached out and pushed him away abruptly. Qingzhou refused to relent, pinning me between himself and the hallway wall once more. "Yen Yen, let me explain about our past life, okay? It wasn't what you thought." The strength disparity between men and women was inherently unequal. Unable to resist, I could only feign temporary compliance. I asked him, "Then what was it? Wasn't it you, Qingzhou, who destroyed my family?" His expression was one of extreme agony, his lips trembling for a long moment before he could only force out the words, "I have my reasons." "Whatever grand reasons you have are none of my concern." Seizing the moment when his guard was down, I tightened my grip on the pen in my hand and stabbed it fiercely into his arm, then used the momentum to push him down the stairs. "Stay away from me from now on. Don't dirty my sight." With that, I pulled open the emergency exit and fled as if escaping a disaster, only to crash straight into Jian Yuji's arms. He steadied me, perhaps sensing my unease, and softly reassured me, "Sis, what's wrong?" I shook my head, barely managing to stop my body from trembling. "I'm fine, let's go." Time to head back. Jian Yuji lifted his eyelids to glance at the emergency exit door, his expression somewhat gloomy. "Sis, go ahead and wait for me there. I'll just use the restroom and be right back." Without giving it much thought, I turned and walked back to my seat. When Jian Yuji returned, I noticed the injuries on his face. "Why did it take so long, and what happened to your face?" Jian Yuji lowered his head to avoid my gaze. I fell in the restroom." Going downstairs from the 2nd floor, I ran into Qingzhou again. He looked even more disheveled than before, with inexplicable bruises on his face. Connecting this with the injuries on Jian Yuji's face, I instantly understood. Noticing my gaze lingering on Qingzhou, Jian Yuji stepped sideways to block my view. "Sis, don't look at him. He clearly doesn't look like a good person." 6. Jian Yan. "The homeroom teacher wants to see you in the office." I was just about to leave when Jian Yuji glanced at Qingzhou's seat, then picked up the stack of homework he just collected and called out to me, "Sis, wait for me. I'll go with you." Qingzhou was already in the office when we arrived, and the physics teacher seemed to be discussing competition matters with him. From the moment I entered, his gaze remained fixed on me. Jian Yuji placed the homework notebook on the teacher's desk and said to me as he left, "Sis, I'll wait for you outside." The homeroom teacher teased with a smile, "How come our grade's top student is such a sister's boy? Can't bear to be apart from your sister for even a moment." Huh. Jian Yuji flushed but didn't refute, tacitly acknowledging the teacher's words, though before leaving, he stole another glance at Qingzhou. "Jian Yan, your grades have improved a lot recently. Keep up the good work." The homeroom teacher then gave some additional academic instructions. When I left the office, I didn't see Jian Yuji, but Qingzhou was standing at the stairwell, clearly waiting for me. I ignored him and prepared to return to the classroom. Qingzhou chased after me and blocked my path. "Didn't you hate your stepbrother the most before? Why are you so close to him now? Yen Yen, why has everything changed?" Didn't you like me the most before? Why won't you even give me a glance now? I scoffed. Don't flatter yourself. As I turned to leave again, Qingzhou grabbed my wrist and said in a hoarse voice, Yan Yan, give me another chance, please. No. I tried to shake him off but failed. Hearing footsteps in the stairwell, I warned Qingzhou, let go. He stared at me persistently, his eyes filled with sorrow. Sis, the footsteps belonged to Jiang Yuji. His gaze fell on my wrist where Qingzhou was gripping me, his eyes instantly turning fierce as he rushed forward and pushed Qingzhou away. Sis, did he bully you? Seeing my slightly reddened wrist, Jiang Yuji turned around, grabbed Qingzhou by the collar, and growled in a low voice, did you forget how the hell I warned you last time? Stay the hell away from my sister. Qingzhou curled his lips mockingly, still have the nerve to call her sister. Everyone can see through your little scheme. Both wore hostile expressions and soon came to blows. Jiang Yuji, I intervened just in time. Jiang Yuji, who had already clenched his fist ready to strike Qingzhou, suddenly froze. With reddened eyes, he turned to look at me plaintively. Sis, I walked over and grabbed him. Let's go. Class has already started. After saying that, I glanced at Qingzhou again. No need to get physical with someone like him. Hearing this, Qingzhou's pupils trembled slightly, his eyes instantly filling with tears. Ever since Qingzhou found out that I, like him, had been reborn, his appearances around me became increasingly frequent. Jiang Yuji's temper visibly worsened, even leading to multiple public physical altercations with Qingzhou. Rumors about me and Qingzhou kept spreading throughout the school. When summoned to the homeroom teacher's office again, I couldn't hide my irritation. This final year of high school is crucial. I expect you all to focus on your studies. Recently, you too, teacher. I rarely interrupted elders so rudely. I have no interest in Qingzhou whatsoever, but he keeps harassing me. It's seriously affecting my studies. He's causing me great distress. I hope you can have a proper talk with Qingzhou. If you can't resolve this, I'll have to ask my father to come discuss it with the principal. After I finished speaking, the homeroom teacher was stunned, then turned to Qingzhou. Is everything Jiang Yan said true? Qingzhou remained silent for a moment, then nodded in admission. Jiang Yan, you go back to the classroom first. The teacher will handle this matter. I nodded and left. As soon as I stepped out, I saw Jiang Yuji waiting outside the office. I knew he was worried about me. After returning to the classroom, the female classmate in front of me turned around and asked, did the homeroom teacher talk to you about you and Qingzhou? Before I could answer, she continued, actually, we've all noticed Qingzhou likes you. He keeps sneaking glances at you during class and always follows you around. I smiled indifferently. Oh really? She nodded, but Jiang Yuji grew impatient and reminded her, class is starting. The female classmate pursed her lips, cast a complicated glance at Jiang Yuji, and eventually turned back resentfully. 7. On Saturday, Jiang Yuji had a physics competition. In the over a year since my rebirth, he and I had been practically inseparable every moment. Go get him, I said, watching Jiang Yuji enter the venue. I had just sat down on the bench outside the venue when a figure stood before me. Yan Yan. I didn't look up, recognizing Qingzhou's voice immediately. In his hand was a transparent bag containing competition entry passes. Clearly, he was here for the contest too. Qingzhou crouched down in front of me, looking up earnestly. Yan Yan, can we talk properly? What terrible luck. As I stood up to distance myself from him, I heard Qingzhou's threatening words from behind. If you refuse to talk, I'll go in and speak with Jiang Yuji instead. All I need is to spread a few lies, and he can forget about competing in that final. What do you want to talk about? I interrupted him impatiently. Ever since my rebirth, I've always found him utterly despicable. Yet he insists on putting on this pitiful act in front of me. Qingzhou took a step closer to me, nervously clenching his hands at his sides. I want to apologize for what happened in our past life. I truly never intended for your father's company to go bankrupt, nor did I expect you to suddenly pass away in a car accident. Yan Yan, I admit that at first I approached you with ulterior motives, but later my feelings for you became genuine. I was just too impatient. I just wanted to become strong enough to be worthy of you. I glanced up at the digital clock above the venue. There's only 1 minute left before the competition starts. After that, Qingzhou won't be able to enter and participate, nor will he disturb Jiang Yuji anymore. You don't know how I survived those years after your death. The engagement was fake. I've only ever loved you, from beginning to end. Otherwise, I wouldn't have lived so recklessly after losing you, dying within a few years just to see you again. As he spoke, he gave a self-mocking smile, the corner of his mouth twitching. And I never gave him any response from start to finish. Even a dog would shake its head at these lies of his. How could someone who loves another bear to drag them into the mire? Yen, please forgive me, let's start over. Watching the security guard close the venue's gate, I finally smiled with satisfaction. Good, now you can't get in. Qingzhou didn't even turn around, just looked at me gloomily and said, I guessed you'd accompany Jiang Yuji here today, so you were my target from the beginning. Oh, I walked over to the security guard, and Qingzhou followed me. But this is exactly what I wanted, Uncle Security, this person is harassing me. I pretended to be scared as I called for the security guard's help. Sure enough, the security guard shielded me behind him. I thought you looked suspicious earlier, kid. Qingzhou tried to explain, but was ultimately chased out by the security guard. 8. After learning that Jiang Yuji won first place in the physics competition and was directly admitted to Peking University, my dad and Aunt Jiang were so happy they couldn't sleep for several nights. Our Yuji is just brilliant, my dad said, then glanced at me. Our Yen is smart too, look how much she's improved in such a short time. I smiled without speaking. I had thought that after being directly admitted, Jiang Yuji might not go to school anymore. The next day, he still went out with me. Before the college entrance exams, I have to supervise your studies, Jiang Yuji explained. In the 2 months leading up to the college entrance exams, everyone in the family was anxious except for me. To save time, Jiang Yuji suggested having lunch in the cafeteria. This way you can have more time for a nap instead of running back and forth. Midway through the meal, Qingzhou suddenly sat down beside me. Jiang Yuji and I exchanged glances, neither of us acknowledging him. Sis, you shouldn't be picky, you should eat carrots too, they're good for your eyes. Qingzhou, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. Yen doesn't like carrots. I wasn't planning to eat it originally, but hearing those words, I immediately finished all the carrots on my plate right in front of Qingzhou. Seeing this, Qingzhou's expression turned stern. By the time we finished eating and left, he had barely touched the food on his plate. While working on problems in the afternoon, Jiang Yuji suddenly asked me beside me, Sis, besides carrots, is there anything else you don't like to eat? Yes, I nodded solemnly, then listed a whole bunch of foods I dislike. After speaking, Jiang Yuji suddenly laughed. Raising you to this age was truly no easy feat for our family. At noon the next day, Jiang Yuji left early. When I finally looked up after finishing the exam, the classroom was completely empty. Going to the cafeteria at this hour will probably mean standing in a long queue again. Just as I was hesitating whether to go out and grab some quick bites, Qingzhou placed bread and milk on my desk. I noticed you didn't go for lunch, so I brought these for you. The moment I showed a look of annoyance, the items on the desk were immediately shoved back into Qingzhou's arms. My sister never eats this kind of stuff. Then, right in front of Qingzhou, he opened the thermal lunchbox. It was filled with all my favorite dishes. Sis, I'll come home after second period every day from now on and bring you meals. After getting the guaranteed admission, the teachers really didn't restrict him much, but wouldn't that be too much trouble? Jiang Yuji leaned on the table watching me eat, smiling. No trouble at all, I enjoy cooking. Did you make this yourself? I asked with raised eyebrows. Is it good? I nodded sincerely. Super delicious. At the high school senior pledge rally, Jiang Yuji gave a speech on stage. I gazed at the spirited young man on stage, feeling an indescribable mix of emotions in my heart. In my past life, I had also attended the oath-taking ceremony with Jiang Yuji as the speaker just like now, but my state of mind back then was completely different from what it is now. You're not developing feelings for some 17 to 18-year-old brat, are you? The mocking voice beside me snapped me back to reality. Jiang, get a grip. You've lived 2 lifetimes. The mental age gap between you and a kid like Jiang Yuji is astronomical. You two are completely mismatched. What's more, he's your... I gave him the chance to finish his sentence. I looked at him with disgust and sneered. Then who would be suitable for me? You. Qingzhou seemed oblivious to the sarcasm in my words. Staring into my eyes, he said earnestly, Jiang, I'm the one you loved for over a decade. We share the same experiences. We understand each other. No one in this world is more suitable for you than me. This person is really thick-skinned. Seeing Jiang Yuji already descending from the stage, he didn't like Qingzhou appearing by my side. And I felt the same aversion, so I urgently wanted to drive him away. Who I like is none of your business. Rather than worrying about me, you should worry about yourself. Life in the Qing family hasn't been easy for you, has it? That remark really hit him where it hurts. Qingzhou's face darkened, and after a long pause he finally spoke. I no longer care about those things. I came back for you. I asked him. Do you even believe this nonsense yourself? 9. On the day of the college entrance exams, Jiang Yuji, who had already received early admission, acted even more nervous than I was. Sis, could you double-check if you've forgotten anything? This was already the 4th time he'd asked me to check, but I obediently went through everything once more. After finishing the last exam subject, Jiang Yuji, my dad, and Aunt Jiang were all waiting for me outside. In the evening, our classmates organized a dinner gathering. As the only one in our class who got recommended admission to Peking University, Jiang Yuji naturally got pressured to drink quite a lot. After taking a taxi to the outside of the neighborhood, I walked a few steps forward before realizing Jiang Yuji hadn't followed me. Turning around, I saw him still standing where we got off the car, gazing at me from afar. Sis, I drank too much. My head is spinning. Can you come over and hold my hand as we walk? I'm in a good mood today. I walked over with a smile, holding his hand, happy now. Whether it was the alcohol or not, Jiang Yuji's face was burning red. He looked down at our clasped hands, walking for a long while before softly murmuring MHM. His voice lifted at the end, and the smile never left his face, until I met Qingzhou in the neighborhood. Qingzhou's gaze fell on our intertwined hands, mine and Jiang Yuji's. His eyes instantly reddening as he choked out, "Yen Yen," like a man possessed. He rushed toward us, staring at Jiang Yuji, then back at me, disbelief written all over his face. "You too." Jiang Yuji tightened his grip on my hand, smirking at Qingzhou. "Sis, why does he keep haunting us like a ghost? Now he's no longer drunk, his head isn't dizzy either, completely sober." I ignored Qingzhou and walked straight past him. Only when we reached the doorstep did I let go of Jiang Yuji's hand, smiling. Great acting. Jiang Yuji flexed the hand I'd just released, his ears turning crimson. My coming-of-age ceremony at 18 was celebrated together with my college admission banquet. Even though my college entrance exam scores only qualified me for an average first-tier university, my father still went all out to host a grand dinner for me. He made a huge fuss, boasting to everyone he met, "My daughter got into a first-tier university, how incredible is that?" The regrets from my past life were finally made up for in this one, and I became my father's pride. At the banquet, the Qing family intentionally sought to establish marital ties with ours. Chairman Jiang, your daughter is about the same age as my sons. See if any catch your eye, let's join our families. Without even glancing at the 3 men behind Mr. Qing, my father declined with a smile. Young people these days value free will and love. Besides, with my current standing, there's no need for my daughter to marry for alliance. I noticed Qingzhou's expression faltered slightly upon hearing my father's words. He must have recalled how, in our past life, my father treated him as an honored guest, introducing him to North City's elite circles, all because I loved him, and now he could only trail behind his 2 older brothers, serving as an insignificant background character. After all the guests had left, Aunt Jiang finally wheeled out the birthday cake she had made together with Jiang Yuji. Just as they were about to light the candles and make a wish, Jiang Yuji suddenly spoke up, "Mom, could you and Uncle Jiang go turn off the lights?" Everyone at home was so excited tonight that neither of them gave Jiang Yuji's request much thought and went together to switch off the lights. The moment the light went out, I closed my eyes and made a wish, but then I heard Jiang Yuji's calm voice beside me, "Happy birthday, sis." He tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "After today you'll be an adult, so this is the last time I'll call you sis." Before I could process the meaning behind his words, the overhead lights flickered back on. The whole family started singing the birthday song for me, and Jiang Yuji's words were temporarily pushed to the back of my mind. 10. I woke up in the morning to the sound of fighting outside. Neither my dad nor Aunt Jiang were home, and calling out to Jiang Yuji twice got no response. Puzzled, I walked downstairs and saw Jiang Yuji and Qingzhou tangled together outside the floor-to-ceiling window. After glancing around, I grabbed a bottle of red wine from the liquor cabinet and rushed out, pushing Qingzhou aside. I shielded Jiang Yuji behind me. "Are you fucking insane, having lived 2 lifetimes?" This was the first time I'd ever cursed someone out. Behind me, Jiang Yuji wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and glared coldly at Qingzhou. "You went through all this trouble to provoke me into a fight, just to make Jiang Yan come out and look at you, didn't you? Happy now?" Qingzhou saw the liquor bottle in my hand. He's no fool. He could guess it was meant to smash over his head. Instantly, his expression turned desolate, the pain in his eyes unmistakable, but I remained unmoved. My voice icy. "Qingzhou, people need the ability to move on. Stop clinging relentlessly. This behavior of yours only makes me despise you more." don't ever show your face in front of me again, or I'll make sure you never set foot in Beijing for the rest of your life." After dragging Jiang Yuji into the room, I scolded him again. "You think you're something now, don't you? You've even learned to start fights with people. What did you just call me? Jiang Yan this and Jiang Yan that. Since when do you get to call me by my name?" Jiang Yuji glanced at me cautiously, avoiding my gaze. "Last night I already told you, that was the last time I'll call you sister." As if struggling with something, he turned back and looked seriously into my eyes. "Jiang Yan, you're an adult now. I won't call you sister anymore. I like you, so I don't want to just treat you as a sister." These words rooted me to the spot, leaving me unable to regain my composure for a long time. That evening, the atmosphere at the dinner table was extremely awkward. No matter how many times my dad and Aunt Jiang tried to smooth things over, they couldn't change the subtle tension between me and Jiang Yuji. When I came back from walking the dog, I saw Jiang Yuji and Aunt Jiang coming out of my father's study, both looking rather upset. Just as I was about to ask, my father also emerged from the study. "Yan Yan, come to my study." In the study, my father mentioned how my mother passed away from difficult labor when I was born, and all these years, he's always worried he hasn't taken good enough care of me. But my Yan Yan is amazing, not only excelling in studies but also outstanding in everything else. I could tell he was just beating around the bush, so I cut straight to the point. "Dad, what exactly do you want to say? What happened?" He sighed. "After you left, Yuji called me and his mother into the study. He said he likes you and wants to be with you. Actually, I've noticed he treats you differently. I just never thought about it in this way." My father carefully observed my expression, seeing that I remained silent. He continued, "Yan Yan, your dad and Aunt Jiang are open-minded parents. If you also like Yuji, don't worry about our feelings. Although Aunt Jiang just beat Yuji, she and I both will still respect your own choices. Dad can even send you abroad, to a place where no one knows you. My only wish in this life is for you to be happy and live a joyful life." There's no doubt my father loves me. Even in my past life when I truly became the useless person Qingzhou described, he never once spoke a harsh word to me. "Dad," I said earnestly, holding his hand, "I'm not going anywhere. I just want to stay by your side. As for the matter between me and Jiang Yuji, I'll handle it properly." 11. During summer vacation, I didn't go traveling but went straight to intern at my father's company. By the time I graduated and officially joined the company, I had already gained some reputation there. Jiang Yuji didn't join my father's company. Being clever, he formed a team in college to start his own business. With my father's support, Jiang Yuji's company has now begun to thrive. I saw Qingzhou again at a charity gala. Without my help in this lifetime, he remains nothing more than an illegitimate child in an awkward position. Qingzhou smiled when he saw me, but as he approached to greet me, staff stopped him. "Sir, this is the VIP area, you can't enter. Please return to your seat." Now he can no longer pester me, and even meeting me once is extremely difficult. I also know a few big shots nearby, and I heard them talking about Qingzhou. That illegitimate child of the Qing family is recently working on some new energy project and even came to my company to seek investment. I know about this too. "Old Wang, are you investing?" Sigh. Out of respect for the Qing family, it's hard to refuse, and besides, new energy is definitely going to be a major trend in the future. From their conversation, I learned that Qingzhou and Jiang Yuji were working in the same field. I raised an eyebrow with a smile and proactively greeted the Wang family's leader beside me. "Uncle Wang, it's been a while since I last saw you. Just now I heard you mention new energy. My younger brother is currently working in this field too. If you're considering investments, I'll thank all you uncles on his behalf." Uncle Wang and several other uncles nodded with smiles. "Yan Yan, since you put it this way, how could we not support Yuji? These are people who have been through decades of business battles." They'd instantly grasp the implications in my words. Moreover, with the Jiang family's growing influence in recent years, they'd naturally want to do me this favor. After today, Qingzhou won't secure a single investment in North City. This is the gap between him and me now. Without lifting a finger, I can make his fate completely different from his past life, or with just a casual remark, send him crashing to the bottom, never to rise again. 12. Jiang Yuji's company went public in the US after changing its name. Reading the online news, I couldn't help but frown. He renamed the company to JY, the abbreviation of my name. On the day Jiang Yuji returned to the country, I personally went to the airport to pick him up and threw a stack of documents at him. "Jiang Yuji, you're getting bolder by the day." Jiang Yuji caught the documents with a smile, flipped through a few pages, then met my gaze. So you found out. Jian Yen, JY is my dowry, would you reconsider giving me another chance? I slammed the car door shut and gritted my teeth to squeeze out 2 words. No way. That stack of documents was actually a share transfer agreement. Jian Yuji had transferred 70% of JY's shares to my name. I've known him for 2 lifetimes, yet now it feels like I never truly understood Jian Yuji. It seems even the Jian Yuji I knew from high school days isn't the same person anymore. It was just the 2 of us in the car, after a few seconds of silence. I finally heard Jian Yuji's voice. Jian Yen, give me one reason. Okay, why can't it be me? Watching Qingzhou approach me step by step, I instinctively stood up abruptly. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, then began recounting that dream about a past life I'd once mentioned to him. Don't be fooled by our mere 2-month age difference. Truthfully, I've always seen you as just a little kid, after the college entrance exam. Those words you said to my dad. I only thought you were momentarily impulsive. Jian Yuji straightened up and turned to look at me. Jian Yen, it's been 9 years since that summer after senior year. Why won't you just believe me? He sounded like he was accusing someone, his tone carrying an indescribable grievance. Are you afraid I'm just acting on a whim? From age 17 to now at 26, I've been following you around for 9 years. After this birthday, it'll be 10. I don't have many decades in this lifetime. How could this possibly be some impulsive infatuation? The car drove through the tunnel, and I glanced at Jian Yuji in the rearview mirror. The tunnel lights flickered across his face. Jian Yen, give me a chance. Okay, I know what I want. As he spoke these words, his face was turned toward the car window, his voice choked with emotion. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. Okay. Only after speaking did I realize what I had done. But there was no taking it back. Jian Yuji's previously gloomy face instantly lit up with radiance. Rubbing his eyes, he asked uncertainly, really? But before I could answer, he continued, don't even think about denying it. I heard everything. Emerging from the tunnel, I raised my eyes to look at the sky. The moon was full, and the stars were shining brightly. It suddenly occurred to me that agreeing to give it a try with Jian Yuji wasn't such a bad idea after all. Story 2. I had a car accident and urgently needed panda blood. My childhood friend begged bitterly in the Panda Blood Mutual Aid group. Please, I'll agree to any condition. Marry me. Is that okay too? A girl asked. My childhood friend gritted his teeth and endured. Yes. The whole network praised my childhood friend for sacrificing for love. If I made a fuss, I was being ungrateful. It was only years later that I found out the 2 of them had already been having an affair, once again. I returned to the day when I had a car accident and urgently needed panda blood. I preemptively called the young Master Gu in Hong Kong City. I'm Jiangli, who once donated panda blood to you. Can you return that 1200 cc of blood to me? Unexpectedly, young Master Gu had also been reborn. He rushed over overnight, buying and contending. Donating blood is okay, but she has to marry me. I didn't expect my childhood friend to go crazy on the spot. 1. The young Master Gu in Hong Kong City vied and contended to marry me. He rushed to the hospital against time and took the lead in donating blood to me. However, the girl with panda blood, Qin Xiangwei, didn't know this. 3 days after my operation, Qin Xiangwei barged into the ward with a sense of entitlement to confront me. Jiangli, it was me who donated 1200 cc of panda blood to you. Do you know what it means to donate 1200 cc of blood at once? It could lead to heart failure, shock, and even threaten my life. I'm saving your life with my own, so it's not excessive for me to ask for any condition. My condition is that Qinyao must marry me. I know you must be extremely reluctant in your heart, but no matter how reluctant you are, you have to endure it for now. I cut off her words. I agree. Qin Xiangwei clearly didn't expect that I would calmly say yes. What did you say? Even Qinyao, who had a pained expression on his face, was full of surprise in his eyes. He thought I would cry, make a scene, and break down, that I would be crazy and reluctant to let go, and then, like in the previous life, stand on the moral high ground and tell of his helplessness. All this is for saving you. Do you think I'm willing to marry a woman I don't love? But I've already promised her. You don't know that every day when I lie in the same bed with Qin Xiangwei, our hearts are miles apart. Do you know that all I think about is you, in the previous life? I really cried and made a big fuss. I cried all day long, begging Qinyao not to leave me. He said I was being unreasonable and looked like a lunatic. Obviously, everything he did was to save me. It was only years later that I found out the 2 of them had already been having an affair. I heard Qinyao tirelessly to his friends. I'm already tired of it. If I don't come up with an excuse of sacrificing for love, How can I get away scot-free? Jiangli loves me so much. Even when I sacrifice for love, she still won't let go. If I were to break up with her normally, wouldn't she make a huge scene with me? Blame it on our childhood friendship, it made her deeply in love with me. His friends flattered and laughed. It's all because of your great charm. Jinyao swirled the red wine and also smiled. That's true. Actually, I quite enjoy the way she can't forget about me, even if I'm married. I want her to love me obsessively and persistently. To remain chaste for me and cry for me until dawn. This feeling is really fascinating. At that moment, my mind went blank and my ears were buzzing. Only then did I vaguely realize why all these years, whenever I tried to let go and start a new life, he would appear in front of me and tell me his sad feelings for me. It turned out that he enjoyed the pleasure of me loving him to the point of madness. Reborn once. I won't be so cheap anymore. 2. I looked at Qin Xiangwei and said nonchalantly. Since Chen Yao promised to marry you, then I'll let go. Congratulations to you too. When can I have the honor of drinking your wedding wine? Chen Yao looked at me in disbelief, and his face was extremely ugly. The friends in the ward, sensing the wrong atmosphere, quickly tried to persuade me. Jiangli, we know you're just saying angry words. How could you be willing to let go of Chen Yao? If Chen Yao really leaves with Qin Xiangwei, you'll probably cry your eyes out. Hearing my friend's words, Chen Yao's expression improved. The corners of his lips twitched slightly, and he leaned over to kiss my forehead. Be good, don't make trouble, even if I have to fulfill my promise and marry her, you're the only one in my heart. If there was a man who could donate panda blood to you at that time and the condition was that I had to let go and let you marry him, I would also make the same choice with a broken heart. Because your life is more important than anything. The friends echoed one after another, persuading me to think it through. Yeah, Brother Yao only loves you. It's just a pity that the one who set the condition at that time was Qin Xiangwei, who was determined to get Brother Yao, not a man who had to marry you. I smiled and didn't say anything. Who said that there wasn't a man who had to marry me among those who set the conditions at that time? They didn't know that as soon as I was reborn at the moment of the car accident, I took out my phone and dialed the video call of the young Master Gu in Hong Kong City, lying in a pool of blood. I begged him at the first time, young Master Gu, I'm Jiangli, who once donated panda blood to you. Can you return that 1200 cc of panda blood to me? Unexpectedly, young Master Gu had also been reborn. He rushed over overnight, hiding it from everyone and taking the lead in donating blood to me. He also smiled at me meaningfully. Since your childhood friend fiancé can agree to any condition, then I also have to set a condition, but I trust my intuition. If I set it now, he will definitely go crazy on the spot and won't agree easily. Let's talk about everything after you successfully break off the engagement. I thought Gu Jincheng was overthinking. Chen Yao couldn't wait to break off the engagement with me and marry Qin Xiangwei instead, but I still agreed to Gu Jincheng's request. Okay, let's talk about everything after the engagement is broken off successfully. 3. In the previous life, I finally married Gu Jincheng, but my heart was always being toyed with by Chen Yao, and I turned a blind eye to Gu Jincheng's kindness. Yet he still firmly stood up to protect me when I was exposed by Qin Xiangwei for not being able to forget a married man. When I got depression and was ridiculed by the whole network for faking illness because I couldn't get what I wanted, he sneered at everyone. So what if she doesn't have me in her heart? I, Gu Jincheng, dare to marry her, and I dare to protect her for life. I'm here to support her, not to uphold justice. Why should I take a step back to make things easier for you, allowing you to push your luck and hurt my wife in front of me? At that time, I was already in the late stage of depression and despairing, but Gu Jincheng still never left me. Even though our marriage was in name only, he still refused to give up on me. Reborn once, I won't mistake a scumbag for true love again, and I won't avoid the one who really loves me like the plague. Qin Xiangwei, however, didn't believe that I could let go of Chen Yao so readily. Jiangli, you're acting so convincingly. I almost believed it. Who doesn't know that you love Chen Yao like crazy? Sticking to him like a plaster since childhood, can you let go of him so easily? I hate bitches who say one thing and do another the most. I'm not acting. I took off the engagement ring on my ring finger and returned it to Chen Yao. Since you're going to marry Miss Qin, it's inappropriate for me to wear this ring anymore. I'm returning it to you. I won't pester you anymore in the future. Seeing me take off the ring, Chen Yao's face suddenly darkened. He forcefully stuffed the ring back into my hand. Keep it as a memento. I shook my head. No need, it's not fair to Miss Qin. From now on, I'll empty my heart and never think about you again. I mean what I say. If I think about you again, may I be struck by lightning. If I'm still so cheap after being reborn, if the heavens don't strike me, I'll look down on the heavens. Such a wimp doesn't deserve to live. Chen Yao's chest heaved, and he immediately covered my mouth. What are you talking nonsense? How can you casually swear such a poisonous oath like being struck by lightning? Do you want to die? Qin Xiangwei was very happy and took the initiative to come over and put her arm through Chen Yao's. Chen Yao, accompany me to choose a wedding dress. Okay, there are so many people accompanying Sister Jiang in the ward, you should learn to avoid suspicion. Chen Yao shook off Qin Xiangwei's hand, and his tone was very bad. Get lost, I'm not in the mood today. I was a bit surprised. In the previous life, he would never shout at Qin Xiangwei like this, so it turned out that when I stopped flattering him, his enthusiasm for accompanying Qin Xiangwei to choose a wedding dress wasn't that strong either. In the ward, the friends were all trying to persuade Chen Yao not to get angry. Chen Yao, I think what Miss Qin said is right. After all, you're going to marry Miss Qin in the future. You probably need to learn to avoid suspicion. Chen Yao's tone was even worse, and he roared sharply, get out, all of you. After everyone left, Chen Yao lowered his head and pinched my nose and said, are you happy now? If you're reluctant to let me go, just say so. When did you learn to play hard to get? You even swore a poisonous oath that you won't love me anymore. Your mouth is so tough. Can you really let go in your heart? He looked at me affectionately, and his charming peach blossom eyes were captivating. Unfortunately, he could no longer captivate my heart. I said faintly, I can let go. Probably because my expression was too indifferent. A trace of panic actually flashed through Chen Yao's eyes. Late at night, Chen Yao was still called away by a phone call from Qin Xiangwei. After he left, Gu Jincheng walked into the ward to accompany me. He brought me delicious beef soup and fed me mouthful by mouthful. He said, red meat nourishes blood, drink more. I pushed the soup to him. You also need to replenish your body. Donating 1200 cc of blood at once is no joke. One wrong move and there will be problems with your body. Thank you for being willing to donate so much blood to me at once. I have nothing to repay you with, and I don't even have the face to face you. Gu Jincheng looked at me and smiled gently. Once I was on the verge of death. Weren't you also risking your life to donate so much blood to me at once? At that time, I also had nothing to repay you with and just wanted to marry you. Unfortunately, you were deeply in love with that childhood friend and rejected me mercilessly. 3 years ago, I saw a message in the Panda Blood Mutual Aid Group, emergency help, looking for panda blood throughout the city. This is the People's Hospital in the Tibetan area. A patient is in critical condition and urgently needs 1200 cc of bag ARH-D, negative red blood cells. Are there any panda brothers and sisters nearby who can come and help? Unfortunately, the place that needed panda blood was in the Tibetan area. Many people wanted to rush to help but couldn't make it in time because of the long distance. I happened to be doing research in Tibet at that time and was the only one who could donate blood to Gu Jincheng. After that, he proposed to marry me, and I refused. Later, he heard that Chen Yao had married Qin Xiangwei. He came all the way from Hong Kong City to pursue me. He said, I'm not doing this to repay your kindness. Actually, I've known you for a long time. When you were in graduate school and went to Hong Kong City to participate in academic activities with your supervisor, I fell in love with you at first sight. I didn't expect that the person I had a crush on would save my life at a critical moment. This is a match made in heaven. Unfortunately, in the previous life, I didn't know how to cherish it. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I tried to hold back my sobs and asked cautiously, I have no way to repay your life-saving grace. Is it still too late for me to marry you now? Gu Jincheng couldn't believe it. He suddenly tightened his grip on my hand and held his breath. Jiangli, what did you say? Say it again. Do you really want to let go of Chen Yao? Weren't you crazy about him, in the previous life? I was in the late stage of depression and couldn't go on living. Before I died, I secretly ran back to Nanjing to see Chen Yao behind Gu Jincheng's back. It was also at that time that I accidentally heard Chen Yao and his friends and learned all the truth. I was heartbroken. I shook my head, holding his handsome face and said, I don't love him anymore. I won't love him anymore in the future. Reborn once, I just want to love you well. In the previous life, I was married to Gu Jincheng for 3 years, and I never let him touch me. Now, I closed my eyes and deliberately seduced him. I wanted to let him know that I had really let go of Chen Yao. Gu Jincheng, can you kiss me? In the previous life, we were husband and wife for 3 years, but I was never kissed by you. People outside say that your mouth is the most sexy. Being kissed by you must be really fascinating. I want to taste how fascinating it is. Gu Jincheng's eyes turned red at the corners. He almost lost control when he kissed me. He said, I did kiss you once. You cried so hard that I didn't dare anymore. I can't bear to see you cry. My heart would break. Really, I don't remember. In the future, I won't cry. I will only. My hand touched the thrilling pectoral muscle lines under his shirt. I wanted to tell him that in the future, I would only respond. His body trembled, and he lost more control. I scolded myself in my heart for being so blind in the previous life. Obviously, I could have had it so good. 5. The next day, Qin Xiangwei came to the ward to make trouble again. My parents and Qin Yao's parents were both called to the ward. In front of me, the marriage between the two families was officially called off. My father felt sorry for Qin Yao, pitiful that he had to marry a woman he didn't love to save me. He patted Qin Yao on the back and sighed earnestly, "Good boy, it's hard on you. Don't worry, no one will scold you for being fickle. This marriage will be officially called off today. We will do a good job of working on Xiaoli's thoughts." Qin Yao looked at me deeply, waiting for me to cry, make a scene, and threaten to commit suicide. Unfortunately, I was too calm. Qin Yao sat in front of the hospital bed, unwilling to give up. "Xiaoli, don't you have anything to say? Are you just going to calmly give me away to someone else? Don't hold it in. If you're wronged, cry it out." I withdrew my hand that he was tightly holding. "If I tell you not to marry Qin Xiangwei now, will you agree?" Qin Yao said painfully. "You know I can't. A man's word is his bond. I did all this to save you." I found it funny. Then what else is there to say? Qin Yao pinched the space between his eyebrows. "I'm afraid you can't take it and will hold it in until you get sick," I said. "Don't worry, I won't. I've already tried to let go. I tried hard and found that it's not that difficult. It turns out that you're not as important to me as I thought." But Qin Yao's face was gloomy. The faster I let go, the uglier his face became. He actually grabbed my wrist and accused me. "I don't believe it. The words you said before, that you loved me, couldn't leave me, and couldn't live without me, were they all fake?" I remembered his smug face in the previous life when he was telling his friends that I was deeply in love with him. I took a deep breath and became even more indifferent. "Just consider them all fake." Qin Yao's throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he couldn't say a word. He just glared at me fiercely, as if he was going to grind his teeth. My father returned the betrothal money and said to Qin Yao's father, "Old brother, the 880,000 yuan betrothal gift has all been returned. Check if it has arrived." Qin Yao's father looked at his phone and said, "It has arrived. Xiaoli is such a pitiful child, she must be crying her eyes out inside." But still trying to be brave and say that she has let go. When Qin Yao heard his father's words, his face finally improved a little. What his father didn't know was that I was sending a WeChat message to Gu Jincheng. "The engagement is successfully broken off. I'm single now, waiting for you to come and win my heart." Gu Jincheng asked me what my father usually liked the most. I asked, "What are you going to do, Gu Jincheng?" "I'm going to visit your father with gratitude and propose marriage. I'll tell your father that the one who donated blood to you that day was actually me, and the condition for me to save you was that you had to marry me." 6. Seeing that the engagement was successfully broken off, Qin Xiangwei immediately pulled Qin Yao up from beside my hospital bed. "Qin Yao, I want you to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me to get the marriage certificate now. I'm afraid that Jiangli will regret it in a few days and pester you again, to avoid any more troubles. Let's get the certificate first, then if she pesters you again, don't blame me for calling her a shameless mistress." Qin Xiangwei looked at me triumphantly, as if she was certain that I would pester Qin Yao. She couldn't wait to tear apart the mistress. Qin Yao slapped Qin Xiangwei in the face. "Who are you calling a mistress?" The ward instantly became as quiet as a chicken. Qin Xiangwei covered her face in disbelief, her voice shrill. "Qin Yao, I'm the wife you're about to marry. How could you hit me because of her? I just told her not to embarrass herself by pestering you. Why did you hit me? She's pining for a married man. Why can't I call her a mistress?" I found it funny and asked lightly while lying on the hospital bed, "Are you blind or deaf? Did I pine for him? Didn't I say I let go? Have I pestered him from beginning to end? If you have delusions, go get treated, don't bark here." Qin Xiangwei, however, was certain. "Who can't see that you're just pretending? You love Qin Yao to death in your heart, but you still pretend to be magnanimous and give him to me. You must be crying in your dreams and begging Qin Yao not to leave you, right?" Qin Xiangwei stared at Qin Yao with red eyes, her voice tinged with sobs. "Her tricks can't fool me. She's just pretending. You two have been childhood sweethearts since you were young. How could she let go so quickly? She's just being stubborn. You must go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me to get the certificate today." Qin Yao had been observing my expression. not willing to miss any clue, but he couldn't see anything, and his expression became irritable. Qin Yao's father sighed and made the decision. Qin Yao, you and Wei Wei go get the certificate now. It's also a way to completely break Xiaoli's thoughts. Qin Yao was pulled away by Qin Xiangwei with hesitant steps. When he was about to leave the ward, he suddenly shook off Qin Xiangwei's hand, came back and bent down to kiss my forehead. I turned my head to avoid it, and he only kissed my hair. I still felt disgusted. Qin Yao seemed to have some regrets, and he said, Xiaoli, wait for me to come back, I will never give up on you. I wanted to tell him that he wouldn't be able to wait. Gu Jincheng was already handling the transfer procedures for me. He said that the hospitals in Hong Kong City were better, and there weren't a bunch of annoying people coming to the ward to disgust me from time to time. It was suitable for my post-operative recovery. I agreed. I also thought these people were quite funny. Obviously, I had clearly stated that I had let go, but no one believed me. Every day, someone would come to the ward and imagine how I was infatuated with love and hate. I sent a WeChat message to Gu Jincheng. When will you arrive? Hurry up, Gu Jincheng. Right away. I just arranged a private jet. We'll leave today. 7. When Qin Yao and Qin Xiangwei arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Gu Jincheng had already arranged a private jet and wanted to transfer me to a hospital in Hong Kong City. He came to the ward to talk to my father and was about to take me away now, like Qin Xiangwei. He was also afraid of long, drawn-out problems and just wanted to cut the Gordian knot quickly. My father was confused, and his mood was more exciting than a roller coaster ride. He didn't expect that just after losing a son-in-law, a better one would come along in a blink of an eye. My father confirmed with me again and again, Xiaoli, are you sure you want to go with this young man? You can't just find someone to marry randomly just because Qin Yao is going to marry someone else. Although this young man has long legs, broad shoulders like the Pacific Ocean, and a narrow waist like a male model, which is your favorite type, but didn't you say you would only marry Qin Yao since you were a child? Should I call Qin Yao and tell him to come to the airport to chase you? If he knows that the one who donated blood to you wasn't Qin Xiangwei, he won't have to marry her. I rolled my eyes at my father and pretended to be in a dilemma. Dad, what can I do? You heard it in the hospital just now. The condition for Gu Jincheng to agree to donate blood to me was that I had to marry him. Is it that when Qin Xiangwei donates blood to me, Qin Yao has to keep his promise, but when Gu Jincheng donates blood to me, I can just abandon him? One can't be so double standard. Besides, that's 1200 cc of panda blood, a matter of life for life. My father was left speechless and could only agree to let Gu Jincheng take me away. Gu Jincheng arranged a chartered plane and also hired an excellent attending doctor at a high price to accompany me to take care of me. To avoid any accidents on the plane during the journey, he arranged every detail of the journey, so that my father couldn't find any faults. My father couldn't help but ask indirectly, boy, be honest, when did you start having your eyes on my Xiaoli? You have a good eye. If it weren't for Xiaoli's car accident and urgent need for panda blood, you wouldn't have a chance to take advantage of the situation even in your dreams. I glared at my father. Dad, can you stop being so gossipy? Gu Jincheng answered every question. He held my hand in his palm and played with it. I don't dare to deceive uncle. It's been a long time, so long that it seems like something from a past life. The first time I met Xiaoli was when she came to Hong Kong City to participate in an academic conference with her supervisor. Other postgraduate students were just eating and drinking in the venue, but Xiaoli, like a newborn calf not afraid of tigers, not only followed her supervisor throughout the process but also dared to express her opinions in front of a group of bigwigs. She was very confident, dazzling, and charming, making people fall in love at first sight. I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect Gu Jincheng to answer like this. Yes, if I hadn't been love-struck, I could have shone brightly in my own field. But in the previous life, I was immersed in the worry about losing Qin Yao and lost myself. After my father went to the toilet, I asked Gu Jincheng with red-rimmed eyes, the confident, dazzling, and charming girl in your eyes must have disappointed you later, right? Gu Jincheng seemed to see through my heart. He kissed the back of my hand, and his voice was magnetic and gentle. No disappointment. I've been waiting for you to cheer up. To live again as the person who made me fall in love at first sight. I didn't wait for it in the previous life. Let's work hard in this life. I nodded, and a spark re-ignited in my eyes. Okay, I will definitely live up to your expectations. I took a deep breath and was full of expectations for my future. My restless hand, however, was touching around through his shirt. Gu Jincheng took a deep breath and whispered in my ear in a low voice, "Stop making trouble, You're still sick, I chuckled. That's why I'm being so bold, because I'm sick. In the previous life after marriage, Gu Jincheng insisted on sleeping in the same room. I always curled myself into a small